Chapter 1375. Ling Chong and the other great elders flew out from the spirit beast sect. Ling Chong was about to land when he was so shocked by Qiao Hun's words that he almost fell. Before he could even open his mouth to curse, Ling Jinfeng suddenly shot him a fierce look. Ling Chong, you actually colluded with Ji Chun in secret. To think that I have always treated you well. Your conscience has been eaten by a dog. Ling Chong looked gloomy as he explained, Sect leader Ling, don't believe that old fart Xiao Hun's nonsense. I haven't even gotten married or had children. So how could I have any illegitimate children? The situation was chaotic, and Ling Junfeng didn't have the time to judge whether Ling Chong was speaking the truth or not. He saw that he and the other two sect leaders had distanced themselves from Ling Chong, as if they were guarding against a thief. Ling Chong was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. He sent a palm towards Xiao Hun. How dare you slander my reputation? I'll fight you to the death. Rumble. As a great elder of Qi Stage 7, Ling Chong's palm was extremely powerful. His palm had just struck out in the air, and a strong gust of wind blew in all directions. It was as if a mountain was falling from the sky. Qin Feng's expression changed drastically. He didn't even have the chance to escape from this palm. A black shadow shot toward the sky. Qin Feng felt his body lighten. It was Qiao Hun's punch. Before everyone could react, a loud sound came from the sky. The moment the fist and palm collided, it was as if two fighter jets had collided in the sky. A mere Qi Stage 7 dares to behave atrociously in front of me? Get out of my way. Qiao Hun's angry roar came from the loud sound, as if thunder had fallen from the sky. A figure flickered in the night sky. It was unknown when Qiao Hun had already stood at the peak of the Spirit Beast Sect city gate. Ling Chong had already landed on the ground in front of the city gate, creating a deep pit. This exchange was completed in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, yet it had completely set off an unprecedented battle between exalted experts. Ling Jinfeng realized that he had misunderstood Ling Chong. He hurriedly sent a palm strike towards the sky, forming a palm print that was 100 meters long in the sky. Xiao Hun's expression turned cold. He didn't even try to dodge. With a tap of his foot, he shot forward like an arrow, punching a hole in the air in front of him. Rumble. When the two strongest sect masters clashed, even by Xingdo and the other three sect masters retreated 100 meters away. Huge explosions rang out one after another. In that simple exchange of blows, a row of the Spirit Beast sect's walls collapsed. There were no more obstacles inside and outside the courtyard, and the chaotic battle had completely begun. The elders of the two sects were engaged in a fierce battle. Blades and swords flashed, and flames soared to the sky. Ling Jinfeng and Xiao Hun were too powerful. In order to avoid harming the disciples of the same sect, the two of them had already flown to the valley thousands of meters away and started fighting. The other four sect leaders were also fighting. Every time they collided, it was as though the mountains were going to collapse and the earth was going to crack. Looking at the intense battlefield, Qin Feng sneered inwardly. This time, his plan to sow discord was more successful than he had imagined. He didn't even need to sow discord. The sacred sects between the two cities had already formed too much enmity. Now, when enemies met, blood would be especially red. The battle was too fierce. There were as many experts on the battlefield as there were clouds in the sky. Even though Qin Feng was at the 5th stage of true Qi, he could only be considered to be in the middle to upper echelons of the crowd. Moreover, he couldn't circulate the true Qi in his body right now. He hurriedly stepped on his flying sword and rushed inside the Spirit Beast sect. His main mission tonight was to rescue the Spirit Beast Master Qiao clan. Ji Chun, you Luo Quan, Yin Huashan, you guys really dare to fight to the death? Then Laozi will fulfill your wish today. Release the demonic beasts. Ling Zhenfeng's angry roar came from thousands of meters away, but it clearly reached the ears of every disciple in the Spirit Beast sect. For a moment, the roar in the Spirit Beast sect was like thunder. Suddenly, hundreds of wild beasts jumped out of the sect. Black bears, cheetahs, flying birds, demonic apes, elephants, wild boars, bulls. There were many kinds of beasts, and they covered almost all types. Riding on the backs of the beasts was a disciple of the spirit beast sect, who controlled the beasts to fight. The disciples of Meteor City were immediately stunned. They had long heard that the spirit beast sect was famous for hunting and taming beasts, but this was the first time they were actually fighting against the spirit beast sect. Now that this army of beasts had appeared, they had an unstoppable force that swept through a large group of people in an instant. Seeing Ji Chun and a few of the little elders being killed by the demonic beasts, Xiao Hun's eyes turned bloodshot. He grabbed the long blade on his back and leaped into the air, swinging it towards the center of the army of beasts. Rumble. Hundreds of meters of purple blade chi descended from the sky, as if splitting the earth into two halves. The dozens of ferocious beasts under the blade chi immediately exploded into pieces of flesh and blood. Blood flowed like a river. It was incomparably cruel. The battle outside the city was getting more and more intense, but Qin Feng had already sneaked into the inner area of the spirit beast sect. There were actually some disciples patrolling and guarding the place. Even though the battle outside was so intense, they didn't come out to help. Who's sneaking around? Come out and accept your death. An angry roar sounded out. Qin Feng jumped into a courtyard, and as soon as he landed, he was surrounded by dozens of guards holding long spears. Qin Feng quickly sized them up. These people were all at the 4th or 5th stage of true qi, and he wasn't confident that he could kill so many of them in one go with his flying sword. Who's the leader here? Qin Feng pretended to be calm and swept his cold gaze across the crowd. A tall and sturdy man stepped forward and shouted coldly, "Who are you, brat? Why haven't I seen you before? Could you be the enemy of Meteor City?" As the man spoke, he pointed his long spear at Qin Feng. The other dozens of people also took a step back and held onto their long spears, ready to attack at any time. "How dare you? I'm the little elder sent by the spirit beast sect to hide in Ji Chun. It's normal that you haven't seen me before. Now that the sacred gate of Meteor City is attacking the spirit beast sect at night, sect leader Ling Junfeng sent me here to check on the situation of the spirit beast sect. Quickly bring me over." Qin Feng's words sounded like the truth, and the group of guards were all stunned. The sturdy man leading the group questioned, "You say you're a little elder, and we should believe you? When did the spirit beast sect have such a young elder like you?" Qin Feng looked to be in his early 20s, and the youngest elder of the spirit beast sect was in his 40s, which aroused the suspicions of the crowd. But at this moment, a few black shadows flashed on the roof. It turned out that a few elders of Ji Chun had charged in. "Not good. The enemy is here. Everyone kill quickly." Qin Feng's reaction was the fastest. As he spoke, a pink light shot out from his body. The speed of the flying sword was too fast, and even the guards couldn't see clearly what was going on. All they saw was a man falling from the roof, and his chest was pierced through. That huge bloody hole sent chills down their spines. Senior Brother Ling Bai. That person is wearing the uniform of Ji Chen's sect. A guard cried out in alarm. The leader of the guards, Ling Bai, was startled and looked at Qin Feng with gratitude. "This really is our little elder. Everyone, follow the little elder and kill the enemy." Qin Feng ran back and forth in the courtyard, and from time to time, he would take out his flying sword and kill someone. The guards of the spirit beast sect completely believed Qin Feng's identity. If Qin Feng was the enemy of Meteor City, why would he kill Ji Chen's disciple? Both sides were evenly matched. Seeing that it was going to be another fierce battle, Qin Feng didn't dare to waste any more time. He pulled Ling Bai to a hidden corner of the house. "Elder Ling, what are you doing?" Ling Bai was fighting fiercely, and he didn't understand Qin Feng's intention. "Don't care about the enemy. Quickly bring me to the place where the spirit beast masters are imprisoned. The sect master has ordered that those people must be safely transferred out, or else the spirit beast sect will have a hard time developing in the future." Qin Feng's words woke Ling Bai up. Half of the reason why the spirit beast sect was able to develop to this extent was because of the spirit beast masters. They helped the spirit beast sect to hunt and tame beasts, which made the spirit beast sect's power several times stronger. If these people were killed by the enemy, Even if the spirit beast sect won the battle, it would gradually decline in the future. Elder Ling, quickly follow me. After Ling Bai thought through the pros and cons, he hurriedly brought Qin Feng away. The two of them passed through a few small paths and finally arrived in front of a stone prison made of bricks. Elder Ling, the spirit beast masters are imprisoned in the first underground level. Go in and bring them out. I will stand guard at the door. Qin Feng was very satisfied with Ling Bai's suggestion. Before he left, he even patted Ling Bai's shoulder and praised him. Ling Bai had an excited smile on his face and was immersed in his own fantasies. He felt that he had made a great contribution this time and would definitely be promoted by the sect master after this. The stone prison was dim and damp. There were oil lamps on both sides of the stone walls. There were also disciples guarding here, but they didn't stop or question Qin Feng. They stood there like stone pillars. Roar, roar. Just as Qin Feng walked to the first underground level, a wild beast's roar came from inside. The roar sounded a little angry and painful. The beasts were used to freedom, but they were imprisoned in this stone prison that never saw the light of day. Naturally, they wouldn't surrender. The underground level of this stone prison was very large and was divided into two areas. The path on the left was filled with the roar of beasts. It was probably where the beasts were imprisoned. The right was quieter, and there was a familiar aura. Qin Feng hurried to the right. Everyone, be careful. The disciples of Spirit Beast sect are here. As soon as Qin Feng entered, he heard the sound of iron chains colliding. This place was divided into dozens of cells, and each cell held 3 to 5 men and women. They mistakenly thought Qin Feng was a disciple of Spirit Beast sect. They all glared at Qin Feng with angry and murderous eyes. There are sounds of fierce fighting outside. I think someone is attacking Spirit Beast sect. Are you here to ask for our help? Don't even think about it. We won't go out. Bastard, get out of here. Do you believe I won't control a demonic beast to bite you to death? The people in prison here were indeed from the Qiao family. Their clothes were tattered, and their bodies were covered with bloodstains. Their hair was messy, and their skin was sallow. It was obvious that they had been tortured by Spirit Beast sect for years. Qin Feng swept his eyes over the people in the cell. His eyes were wet. Every one of them was Qiao Shi's family. Seeing them being treated so cruelly, Qin Feng felt very upset. The shouting and cursing gradually quieted down. These Spirit Beast masters realized something was wrong. Chapter 1376. Hey, what are you doing here? Someone in the cell closest to Qin Feng asked. The man was in his early 50s and looked similar to Qiao Shi. Qin Feng asked agitatedly, Who? Who are you to Qiao Shi? As soon as he said this, the noisy cell suddenly became so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. The man's expression changed drastically. The men and women in the other cells also became agitated. They all rushed to the cell door and grabbed the iron bars tightly while glaring at Qin Feng. What would you do to Shi? You've also captured Shi? I'm going to kill you. Let me out now. The middle-aged man who asked the question suddenly seemed to have gone crazy. He pulled the iron bars on the cell door with all his might. However, no matter how hard he tried, the iron bars did not respond at all. Don't be anxious. I'm not a disciple of the Spirit Beast sect. I'm Shi's boyfriend. Qin Feng realized that he was misunderstood and quickly revealed his identity. The people who were going crazy were stunned again. They looked at Qin Feng in disbelief. They did not know whether this person was telling the truth or not. Don't try to lie to me. You can't be Shi's boyfriend, because Shi is not even in this land. The man was stunned for a moment and suddenly came to his senses. Qin Feng had already confirmed that the people in prison here were members of the Qiao family. He quickly explained, I really am Shi's boyfriend. I came to the Divine Land from the outside world to save you guys. Not long ago, the formation to enter and exit the Forbidden Land was loosened. The Spirit Beast sect took Xiao Gong's second uncle out. Shi and I saved Xiao Gong. When I found out that you guys were in prison here, I rushed over. Qin Feng's words stunned everyone. They felt like they were dreaming. However, after a while, the dream was still there. Everyone woke up one after another. This was not a dream. This was real. The man was so excited that his body trembled. When he looked at Qin Feng, his expression suddenly softened. He looked at Qin Feng as if he was looking at his own son. He said, what's your name? I'm your father-in-law. I'm Shishi's father, Teacher Qiao. Qin Feng was shocked. He rushed to Teacher Qiao and grabbed his hand. He said, Father-in-law, I'm Qin Feng. Don't worry. I'll get you guys out now. Qin Feng had already retreated a few steps. The Qiao family members were still in a daze. When they were first captured, Shishi was only a few years old. Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, she already had a boyfriend? Furthermore, Shishi's boyfriend was too powerful. He actually entered a hopeless situation from the outside world and even killed his way into the spirit beast sect. Could it be that the sounds of intense fighting outside were the helpers that Qin Feng brought? Before everyone could figure out what was going on, they heard a loud explosion. In an instant, a pink light flashed, and the prison door that Xiao Shi and the others were locked in suddenly collapsed to the ground. Everyone was dumbfounded once more. Swish, swish, swish. For a moment, the sound of swords rang out in the cell. No matter how hard the iron door of the prison cell was, it could not block the sharpness of the starry sky, flying sword. The pink light flickered incessantly, and in the blink of an eye, more than a dozen prison doors were pierced through. Everyone ran out, but they stared blankly at their surroundings. Until now, they had not completely recovered from their shock. Free? Are we really free? Master Qiao asked uncertainly. This was also the question in the hearts of all the Qiao family members. They had been locked in this prison cell for more than 20 years, and every day they dreamed of escaping. Now that they were really out, they found it hard to accept. Father-in-law, we are not completely free yet. Right now, the 3 sacred gates of Distant Ice City and the 3 sacred gates of Meteor City are fighting fiercely. My plan is to wait for both sides to suffer and then reap the benefits. Qin Feng quickly explained the current situation and his plan. Master Qiao stared at him with an excited expression. For the past 20 years, Master Qiao had missed his daughter day and night and was worried about her safety. Now that he saw his son-in-law, Master Qiao was 100% satisfied. He knew that his daughter would be very happy with Qin Feng in the future. Even if he died now, he could die in peace. Good son-in-law, you know the situation outside better than us. Right now, you call the shots, and everyone will listen to your orders, Master Qiao shouted. The Qiao family members woke up one after another. They had already understood the current situation, and they unanimously surrounded Qin Feng. Grandson-in-law, I am Shishi's grandfather. I am very satisfied with you, young man. I am relieved that Shishi is with you. Oh, right, are Shishi and Qiao going well? Didn't they come with you? There are many experts in the Spirit Beast sect. It won't be easy for us to defeat them, but don't be afraid. Our Qiao family can control the minds of the beasts. Now that everyone is free, we can control the beasts to help you fight. Everyone talked at once, and a rare smile appeared on their faces. Qin Feng answered everyone's questions one by one and explained the plan in detail. The Qiao family members immediately agreed. Their lives were saved by Qin Feng, and Qin Feng was Shishi's boyfriend. They had long treated Qin Feng as family. On this side, Qin Feng led everyone and waited for an opportunity to move. The battle outside was at its most intense. After a fierce battle, both sides suffered heavy casualties. There were less than 30 people who could continue fighting. The sect masters of the 6 major sects were also injured. Xiao Hun and Ling Jinfeng were standing on top of a building 100 meters apart. Xiao Hun's abdomen was hit by Ling Jinfeng's palm, and the true qi in his body was already chaotic. Now, he could only use 50% of his strength. Ling Jinfeng wasn't any better. One of his arms was directly cut off by Xiao Hun, and it was still bleeding. Xiao Hun, is this the result you want? You want to take over my spirit beast sex land with that little strength of yours? Even if I die in battle, I'll drag you down with me. Every time Ling Jinfeng saw that severed arm, he would fly into a rage. Until now, he still thought that Xiao Hun wanted to fight to the death. Xiao Hun had suffered internal injuries, and he already felt that today was a bad day. He was even angrier than Ling Jinfeng. If it wasn't for the Spirit Beast sect wanting to fight to the death, how could he be forced to this point? You old fart, you still refuse to admit it? I will kill you with one slash. Xiao Hun leaped up again. Even though he only had half of his strength left, his speed was still astonishing. In just a few breaths, he had already arrived above Ling Jinfeng's head. The large blade in his hand did not have any fancy moves, and he swung it down. Boom! The air in front of him instantly exploded. This slash was comparable to the full power of a true Qi Stage 6 revered martial artist. Ling Jinfeng's expression changed greatly. His right arm was severed, and he had no choice but to send out his left palm. However, the aura of the palm wind was obviously weakened by half, but it still condensed into a huge palm print in the air. Two violent waves of true Qi collided in the air, and it was as if thunder had exploded, causing the entire valley to shake. The blade Qi penetrated the palm print and landed on Ling Jinfeng's chest, leaving behind a long blade wound. Xiao Hun didn't have it any better. After being hit by the palm print, he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood in the air. This was a battle where both sides were injured. Both sides were evenly matched, and it was either you die or I live. The two of them fell to the ground, and for a while they couldn't even get up. On the other side of the battlefield, there were fewer and fewer people left standing on the ground. More than half of the great elders of the 6 major sects had died, and the remaining few people were hanging on with their last breath. The intense battle gradually subsided, and the earth quaking and mountains shaking no longer appeared. From the top of the mountain to the entrance of the Spirit Beast sect, the road that was a few hundred meters long was littered with corpses. Among them, there was no lack of beasts who had died tragically, and it was a scene of blood flowing like a river. Xiao Hun, if you surrender now, I can spare your life. After a long time, Ling Jinfeng's angry roar came from a huge pit, but his voice was clearly weaker than before. Xiao Hun laughed out loud. Ha ha, you want me to surrender? Dream on. It's not certain who will die yet. Xiao Hun and Ling Jinfeng were already strong arrows. They preserved their last bit of true Qi and prepared to deal a killing blow. No one dared to act rashly. This sneak attack was very important, and a single mistake would mean death. The two of them turned from fighting to bickering. They didn't even know each other's exact location, but judging from the sounds, they were less than 50 meters apart. The sounds of fighting in the distance had completely stopped. Fairy Fan and the other 3 sect masters were still alive, and their conditions were the same as Xiao Hun and Ling Jinfeng. All of them were seriously injured. Xiao, I really don't understand. Why do you insist on fighting to the death? Now that both sides are injured, do you think you can still take down Distant Eye City? Once the news spreads, the sacred sects from the other cities will immediately rush over, and you, Ji Chun, and my Spirit Beast sect will be finished. Ling Jinfeng was still feeling depressed, and he felt that Xiao Hun's brain must have been flooded with water. Xiao Hun was furious. He couldn't be bothered to bicker with Ling Jinfeng, but now is the time to bicker. Ling Jinfeng, the battle has already reached this stage. Why the fuck are you still putting on an act? I've always wanted to fight the battle with experts, but it was your Spirit Beast sect who insisted on fighting to the death. Now, do you know how powerful I, Ji Chun, am? Do you really think I am afraid of you? Ling Jinfeng was taken aback. It was fine if Xiao Hun didn't admit it, but now that things had reached this stage, there was no need for him to lie. You really didn't intend to fight to the death. Then how do you explain attacking my Spirit Beast sect in the middle of the night? Ling Jinfeng roared angrily. Xiao Hun was even angrier. Isn't this because of you? Your Spirit Beast sect disciples have already tipped me off, saying that you will lead a large force to attack me, Ji Chun, tonight. So I beat you at your own game and attacked your Spirit Beast sect's base. Just as Xiao Hun finished speaking, his expression suddenly changed. He had already realized that something was wrong. Didn't Ling Chong's illegitimate son say that Spirit Beast sect would launch a sneak attack on Ji Chun tonight? But they were all guarding Spirit Beast sect? Ling Jinfeng's expression also changed. When did he say that he was going to attack Ji Chun at night? It was obvious that someone was playing tricks in the dark. Xiao Hun, what is the name of the Spirit Beast sect disciple you mentioned? Ling Jinfeng, do you have a plan to attack me, Ji Chun, tonight? Xiao Hun and Ling Jinfeng asked almost at the same time, but before they could answer each other, they heard the cry of a bird coming from the sky. A gigantic spirit bird soared high up in the sky. Its golden feathers were like burning flames in the night sky. Chapter 1377. The flaming golden eagle let out a long cry. Its speed was so fast that it was like a will-o'-the-wisp flashing in the sky. Ling Jinfeng and Xiao Han were so angry that their eyeballs widened. They felt as disgusted as if they had eaten a fly. As the sect masters with the highest status in the two cities, they didn't expect to be deceived by a mere county magistrate. The elders, who were prepared to fight, had already given up on the idea of fighting. Their gazes swept toward the sky in unison. Their gazes followed the flaming golden condor, and their faces were ferocious. They wished they could tear Qin Feng into pieces. Ayaya, we've all fallen for that brat's trick. Let's temporarily form an alliance and kill that brat first. Xiao Han was so angry that he screamed. His roar was like thunder. Ling Jinfeng's face darkened, and he had already sent a palm strike towards the sky. Humph. A mere ant is just a matter of a palm strike. Instantly, a huge palm print appeared in the air. Ling Jinfeng was indeed the sect master of the Spirit Beast sect. Even though he was seriously injured, his palm strike caused the air to explode. The palm print was so fast that it shot out like an arrow and directly hit the flaming golden eagle. Chirp! The golden eagle's scream came from the sky, and a large amount of its golden feathers fell off. A ray of pink light flashed and disappeared. Qin Feng had already escaped on his flying sword, but his heart was filled with shock. If the flaming golden eagle hadn't used its body to block Ling Jinfeng's palm strike, his life would have been in danger. Qin Feng couldn't figure out Ling Jinfeng's realm, but his palm strike was comparable to the full power of a true Qi Stage 6 revered martial artist. The flaming golden eagle's wings seemed to be seriously injured, and it didn't even have the ability to fly. It fell from a height of 100 meters. Buzz! A strange energy wave spread out. Seeing the golden eagle that was about to fall to the ground suddenly disappear, Xiao Han and the rest were astonished. They were still waiting for the loud sound when it landed, but they didn't hear anything for a long time. That brat isn't dead yet. He actually has a flying sword, Ling Jinfeng suddenly exclaimed. Xiao Han's expression instantly changed. Everyone looked towards the night sky and saw a ray of pink light appearing and disappearing. Wasn't a pink flying sword? Who exactly is this brat? He actually got a rare piece of pink equipment? Xiao Han was shocked. He couldn't understand Qin Feng anymore. Ling Jinfeng did not care so much. His eyes glowed as he stared at the flying sword. Suddenly, he sent out 2 more palm strikes. No matter who he is, he will definitely die today. Rumble. The 2 palms missed and landed on 2 mountain peaks, causing half of them to collapse. Ling Jinfeng did not put Qin Feng in his eyes at all. He had already noticed that Qin Feng's body did not have any innate qi fluctuations. Even if Ling Jinfeng was seriously injured, he had the confidence to kill an ant like Qin Feng with 1 palm. Xiao Han quickly regained his senses. He raised his broadsword and chased after Qin Feng. Now that everyone had discovered Qin Feng's pink flying sword, they all wanted to take it for themselves. Xiao Yi hadn't died yet. He barely managed to sit on the ground. When he saw the pink flying sword flashing in the sky, his eyes were filled with shock. This flying sword was very similar to the flying sword used by the number 1 in the secular world, Qin Feng. Rumble. The battle, which had just calmed down, resumed once again. Xiao Han was already high up in the sky. His saber slashed through the air, but it left a 100-meter-long crack in the ground. Qin Feng could not circulate his innate qi, so he could only use the flying sword to escape. The ground behind him kept cracking. The violent innate qi was rapidly approaching, making him anxious. You with the surname Xiao, you dare to trick me. I want you to die a horrible death. Xiao Han already knew that he had been deceived by Qin Feng. He was furious, but as soon as he shouted, he felt that something was wrong. His surname was also Xiao. Rumble. However, Qin Feng casually shot out several fireballs. The destructive fire was ignited by the flaming wolf's demon core and did not require innate qi to activate. Xiao Hun acted as if he did not see it and rushed towards the fireballs. In the eyes of these innate qi experts, fire and ice were easy to deal with. These moves looked good, but they did not have much lethality. However, when the destructive fire landed on Xiao Hun's body, his expression suddenly changed. This fire was more than 10 times stronger than the raging fire of innate qi. It was almost at the level of the 10,000 beasts' true fire. The fire instantly ignited Xiao Hun's body, and it looked as if it wanted to burn everything. Xiao Hun threw his broadsword to the side and fell to the ground, rolling back and forth in pain. The crowd was stunned and looked at the scene in disbelief. That brat who did not even have innate qi actually defeated sect leader Xiao Hun? Soon, the elders of Ji Chun came to their senses and hurriedly chased after Qin Feng. Xiao Ye's expression became more and more terrified. The fire of destruction was also very familiar. Wasn't it the fire that Qin Feng used in the secular world? However, this person didn't look like Qin Feng at all. Xiao Yi really couldn't figure it out. Rumble. Loud noises sounded in the distant sky. A new round of battle had begun. More than 10 elders of Ji Chun chased after Qin Feng. The elder of Spirit Beast sect also came to his senses. Just as he was about to attack, he was shocked and looked in the direction of Spirit Beast sect. A wild beast's roar came from inside. More than 10 spirit birds flew in the sky, and the ground was covered with a black mass of ferocious beasts. The ground shook violently from their running. Ling Zhenfeng, what's going on? Xiao Han had already extinguished the fire and stared at Ling Zhenfeng with bloodshot eyes. Ling Zhenfeng and the elders of Spirit Beast sect were dumbfounded. They also did not understand the situation. A black shadow flashed, and Ling Zhenfeng had already landed in front of the crowd. He stared at the beasts that were rushing over and roared. Teacher Qiao, how did you guys come out? You guys came at the right time. Spirit Beast sect has encountered a great enemy. Help me kill that brat on the flying sword first. Ling Zhenfeng did not know the situation and naively stood on the ground and gave orders. The army of beasts was getting closer and closer. Teacher Qiao was riding on a 3-headed ice wolf and was the first to pounce in front of Ling Zhenfeng. Whoosh! He did not waste any time and controlled the 3-headed ice wolf to leap into the air. The ice wolf opened its mouth and shot numerous ice at Ling Zhenfeng. The ice was like a sharp arrow under the night sky and instantly froze Ling Zhenfeng on the spot. Teacher Qiao's figure had already arrived. He pulled out a long sword from his waist and swung it down. Rumble! Before the sword light landed, the ice on Ling Zhenfeng's body suddenly exploded. This old man's strength was unfathomable. Even after losing an arm and messing up his true qi, he could still be so violent. The scattered icicles became sharp blades. Teacher Qiao was caught off guard, and a few bloody holes were pierced through his thighs and arms. The Qiao clan members who rushed over roared in anger. Some people saved Teacher Qiao, and even more people controlled the beasts to launch a fierce attack. Roar, roar, roar. The beasts that came out to battle this time were all demonic beasts. There were even a few spirit beasts among them. The roars of the beasts were earth-shattering. Instantly, the sky was filled with flames and ice. There were even a few spirit beasts that could release lightning. No matter how strong Ling Zhenfeng was, he was still scared off by this ferocious attack. He fled all the way to an empty valley thousands of meters away, and before those stunned little elders could figure out the situation, they had already died miserably under this wave of ferocious attacks. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The people who managed to survive were all truly powerful paragons. The sect leaders of the 6 great system-allocated sects gathered together, and there were more than 20 great sect elders around them. The number of casualties in the battle had been disastrous. The genius disciples had long since died like cannon fodder, and even the young sect elders had a hard time surviving. Among the remaining 20 people, the weakest was at the 6th level of true qi. The 6 sect masters had even stepped into the 8th level of true qi. However, they were all seriously injured. It was already rare for them to be able to use even half of their power. Surnamed Ling, I am really going to die because of you. Xiao Han was so angry that he roared towards the sky. Even Bai Xingdo and Fairy Fan stared at Ling Jinfeng with some resentment. In the face of everyone's reprimand, Ling Jinfeng could not even retort. He did not expect the sudden change in the spirit beast sect. What's the use of saying all this now? Let's all work together and exterminate this group of beasts. Ling Jinfeng shouted. Although he said that, everyone's eyes were filled with panic. That was an army of over 100 magical beasts and spirit beasts. If everyone was in peak condition, there was no need to be afraid. But now it was hard to say. I remember now. That kid is Qin Feng, the #1 martial artist in the secular world. Qin Feng. Xiao Yi, who had been silent, suddenly exclaimed. Everyone was shocked. They were not unfamiliar with this Qin Feng's name. Currently, he was being chased by all the sacred sects in the 8 major cities of the Divine Continent. What? He is Qin Feng? Why didn't you say it before? Did you do it on purpose? Isn't this kid in the outside world? How did he enter the Divine Continent? After Qin Feng's identity was exposed, everyone even forgot about the army of beasts that was surging towards them. Countless doubts arose in their hearts. Xiao Yi had a bitter expression. Feeling the killing intent shooting towards him from all directions, he hurriedly said, This kid changed his appearance. I couldn't recognize him at all. It was also the flying sword and flame that he used that made me suspicious. In addition to the betrayal of the Spirit Beast Sect's Spirit Beast Masters, I concluded that the kid was Qin Feng. He also controlled a group of beasts in the secular world. After Xiao Yi explained the situation, everyone was extremely shocked. It seemed like Qin Feng really came. But how did he enter the Divine Continent? This kid was truly savage. He dared to enter the Extinction Sect alone and start massacre. Wasn't he a revered martial artist at the 5th level of True Qi? Why was there no True Qi in his body? Questions surged in their minds, but they had no time to think about it. The army of over 100 beasts had already advanced, and the dozen or so spirit birds in the sky all spat out a rain of flames. Rumble! Ling Jinfeng's palm instantly condensed into a huge palm print. 3 spirit birds were directly sent flying, and half of the sky's flames were extinguished. Don't think about it. Kill these people first. Ling Jinfeng's angry roar woke everyone up. More than 20 revered martial artists immediately launched a counterattack. They were currently heavily injured, so their first move was a killing move. That wave of attack was incomparably ferocious and actually suppressed the army of beasts. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. High up in the sky, Qin Feng turned into a pink light that flickered endlessly. He already knew that his identity was exposed. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Not a single one of these people could be left alive. Qin Feng wanted to exterminate them all. Chapter 1378. Rumble. Suddenly, loud noises came from Qin Feng's body. Since his identity had been exposed, there was no need for him to hide anymore. He directly unleashed the system's trump card. A black shadow descended from the night sky. Golden Fur Lion King's golden hair danced wildly in the wind. As soon as he appeared, the Dragon Slayer saber in his hand struck down. The violent, vital energy shocked the crowd. Rumble. Another 6 clouds of black fog appeared out of thin air. The golden ghost head talisman of the verdant sect's 5 kings was activated. The 5 clouds of black fog floated over like ghosts and shrouded Xiao Han and the others. The crowd was instantly thrown into chaos. The already dark night was obscured by the aura of corpses. What the hell is this? I can't see anything. Who the hell slashed me? Go to hell. Sun He, are you crazy? I'm Ling Chong. Loud noises came from the crowd. The Verdant Sect's 5 kings and one of the Verdant Sect's 5 kings were already mixed in the crowd. Their attacks could not kill these venerables, but it made them kill each other. No one could see clearly in the black fog. Qin Feng had already asked Xiao Shi and the others to retreat to the side and watch the fight quietly. Something's wrong. This black fog only interferes with our vision. There are no enemies nearby. Everyone stop. Xiao Hun quickly discovered the abnormality. The sounds of the fierce fight quickly stopped, but there were a few more corpses on the ground. The crowd was enraged. "Qin Fun, I'm going to kill you." Xiao Hun was furious. He raised his saber and leaped into the sky. Ling Jinfeng also jumped out of the black fog and shouted to the crowd, "Everyone come out." The black fog can confuse one's mind. Under the night sky, more than 20 black shadows flickered continuously. They did not dare to stop. The black fog seemed to have grown eyes and was following them. Xiao Hun had already arrived in front of Qin Fun. He slashed down with his saber, drawing out 100-meter-long purple saber chi. However, Qin Fun did not need to counterattack. With a flash of golden light, the Golden Fur Lion King's violent saber slashed down. Rumble. The moment the two saber chi collided, it was as if the mountains were collapsing and the earth was cracking. The Golden Fur Lion King was sent flying. Xiao Hun's body was also sent flying, but he quickly steadied himself and leaped into the sky. Swoosh! There was a flash of pink light, and the cosmic flying sword pierced towards Qin Feng. It was as fast as lightning, but Xiao Hun easily dodged it. Then he slashed down with his saber, sending Qin Feng flying to the ground. "Oh no! Qin Feng is injured," someone from the Qiao clan shouted. Xiao Shi's expression changed drastically. He immediately controlled the 3 ice waves to fly over, but before they could reach him, several icicles fell from the sky. Stab, stab, stab. The icicles fell like sharp arrows, and the surrounding air suddenly dropped. The ground was covered with a layer of ice, as if they had fallen into a world of ice and snow. Xiao Hun sprinted across the icy ground, but his speed was noticeably slower. He ignored Xiao Shi, who was rushing towards him, and suddenly leaped into the air, slashing his sword towards Qin Feng, who was in the deep crater. Rumble. The saber chi extended, creating a 100-meter-long crack in the ground. However, an ice wall suddenly condensed above the deep pit. Cracks appeared on the ice wall and spread rapidly. In just a few breaths, the entire ice wall suddenly exploded. "Brat, let's see how long your life is." Xiao Hun swung his blade again. Xiao Shi didn't even have time to control the 3 ice wolves to spit out ice. The saber chi condensed into a 100-meter-long solid saber. Explosions rang out incessantly, and many people stopped their attacks to look over. The elders and sect leaders of the holy sects smiled coldly, and the Qiao clan was so scared that their faces turned pale. Rumble. A loud explosion rang out, and the commotion was shocking. It didn't seem like the aura of Xiao Hun's slash at all. In the dark of the night, there was a sudden explosion of sparks, as beautiful as fireworks. Xiao Hun's figure had long since disappeared, reduced to flesh and blood in the explosion. A pink light shot out from the deep crater, flickering under the night sky. This unforeseen event happened too quickly, so much so that everyone was still unclear about the situation. Was Qin Feng dead or not? Where did sect leader Xiao Hun go? No good that brat isn't dead. He brought the Huaxia secular world's firearms to the despair gate. Xiaoya's scream rang out in the silent night. The expressions of the crowd changed drastically. They knew very well what firearms in the Huaxia secular world represented. In the Great War years ago, it was firearms that drove them back to the despair gate. Rumble. As if in response to Xiao Ye's speculation, a loud explosion rang out, as if the sky was filled with muffled thunder. A ball of fire flickered in the night sky, and several fire cloud cannonballs flew over, like shooting stars falling from the heavens. Rumble. The cannonballs landed on the ground, and the whole valley shook. There were a few elders in the crowd who were still in a daze, but in the next moment, they were blasted into smithereens. The sect leaders of the 5 major sects had already dodged, but they were also sent flying by the aftershock of the explosion. They didn't know what kind of firearms it was, but they were deeply shocked. The power of this weapon was comparable to an all-out attack from a true Chi stage 6 martial artist. Loud explosions rang out one after another, and it was as if there was an earthquake in the vicinity of Spirit Beast's sect. A few mountain peaks collapsed, and even the beasts were shocked. Their roars shook the heavens, rising and falling one after another. The Qiao family looked at the sky in shock, and they could vaguely see Qin Feng's figure. He stood on the starry sky, flying sword, and hovered in midair. He wore a set of domineering battle armor the color of the moon, but he carried a fiery red cannon on his shoulder. The few powerful cannonballs just now were fired from his cannon. The flying sword suddenly moved, and its speed was as fast as a shooting star. Qin Feng chased after Qiao Yi and the others who were escaping. He aimed the cannon barrel and fired 3 shots without hesitation. It was as if the moment the shots were fired, a deep pit appeared on the ground. Qiao Yi, Fan Yu, and Bai Qi were already heavily injured. Under the fierce attack of the cannonball, the 3 of them had no chance of survival. They didn't even have time to dodge, and could only watch as their bodies were blasted into pieces. On the other side were the few great elders of Meteor City who were escaping. Unknowingly, Qin Feng was already hovering above their heads. He fired the fire cloud cannon, and in the blink of an eye, 3 true Qi Stage 6 martial artists had fallen. The whole valley was riddled with holes, and it was as if a war had broken out. Qin Feng's eyes flickered with determination. He knew that this was only the beginning. That brat's weapon is too powerful. We must think of a way to eliminate him, or else we'll all die. Looking at the great elders falling behind them, Ling Jinfeng and the other 4 felt fear in their hearts. In this battle, all the elders and disciples of the 6 major sacred gates had been eliminated, and even Xiao Han had been killed. Only the 5 sect leaders were left to hold on. Ling Jinfeng's words received the approval of the other 4 sect leaders. They suddenly stopped and took the initiative to charge towards Qin Feng. The 5 of them were like 5 cheetahs shooting over. Even though they were heavily injured, their speed was still frighteningly fast. In just a few breaths, Ling Jinfeng was already the first to strike with his palm. Instantly, a palm print enveloped the sky. A fire cloud cannon descended and instantly destroyed his palm print. The moment the cannon hit the ground, the plains within 100 meters were blasted into a deep pit. Ling Jinfeng fell from the sky and directly fainted. Rumble. It was Ling Jinfeng's attack that delayed some time, and the other 4 sect leaders attacked at the same time. Yu Luochuan's fairy fan's horsetail whisk shook, and numerous sword rays enveloped the void. Bai Xingdou's sword pierced through the air, and 100-meter-long sword ray condensed in midair. Bai Cong and Xie Qingping struck with their palms, and the Red Sun sect's Seeking Art also struck with his sword. The attacks of these 4 clashed in the void, and instantly there was a violent explosion. It was a spectacular scene, as if the end of the world was coming. The Qiao clan's expressions became serious again. Teacher Qiao had already controlled the 3 ice waves to support, but there was another layer of ice wall in the void. It was not formed by the 3 ice waves, but by the extreme ice released by Qin Feng using the glacial snow mastiff's demon core. Rumble. Such a tough layer of ice was shattered in an instant, and the surging attack instantly enveloped Qin Feng. He quickly dodged on his flying sword. At the same time, activated the super defensive ability of the Moon God armor. The flying sword was still a step too slow, and a loud sound exploded around him. The violent true Qi seemed to be able to destroy the heaven and earth, and instantly knocked Qin Feng to the empty ground 100 meters away. This attack was extremely fierce. After Qin Feng fell to the ground, he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. The Moon God armor also dimmed, and it was almost shattered. That kid is injured, everyone go. Bai Xingdou roared angrily and took the lead to fly. The other 3 sect leaders also followed closely behind, like 4 ghosts in the night. The Qiao clan also rushed towards Qin Feng. The group of beasts roared crazily, but they were still a step too slow. Before they could reach Qin Feng, they saw 4 black figures appear above Qin Feng's head. Bai Xingdou, Lady Fan, Seeking Art, and Xie Qingping. The 4 of them hovered in midair, each standing in a direction in the north, south, east, and west. A cold smile appeared on their faces, and their hands had already landed, as if they were going to kill Qin Feng in the next second. The sword light and palm wind condensed in midair, and the sound of wind breaking could be heard incessantly. Qin Feng lay in the deep pit, and it was difficult for him to even stand up. Seeing the surging attack land on his head, there was suddenly a loud sound, and a jet-black tank appeared out of nowhere. It was very inconspicuous in the night, and even ignored by the four sect leaders. The ferocious attack landed on the Black Dragon tank. The tank was made of some unknown material, and a series of loud clanging sounds could be heard from its surface, but it was not affected at all. Inside the tank, Qin Feng sat on the control panel. There were 4 dots on the screen, which represented by Xingdou and the other 3. Qin Feng's heart was burning with rage, and he immediately bought 100,000 Hedonist points worth of artillery shells. The main artillery was already aimed at by Xingdou, and a dozen or so artillery shells appeared around the tank. Attack! Qin Feng pressed the launch button, and the dozen or so artillery shells fired at the same time. Instantly, the pitch-black night sky was lit up as if it was daytime. The artillery shells filled the sky, and the loud sound was endless. Bai Xingdou and the other 3 were shocked. Chapter 1379. 10,000 Hedonist points worth of artillery shells were used up, and the entire Spirit Beast sect was razed to the ground. When Qin Feng put away the Black Dragon tank and looked around, he couldn't recognize this area anymore. The disciples, elders, and even sect masters of the 6 major sects were all killed. Ling Zhenfeng, however, was knocked unconscious by the aftermath of the fire cloud cannon and escaped. Teacher Qiao and the others had already rushed to Qin Feng's side. They hadn't recovered from the bombardment and stared at Qin Feng in shock. Everyone looked around again, but they didn't see the mighty tank. They really didn't know where the tank came from. Qin Feng, are you all right? Teacher Qiao recovered with great difficulty and hurriedly checked on Qin Feng's injuries. The combined attack of the 4 sect masters wasn't simple. Even with the protection of the moon god armor, Qin Feng was still riddled with injuries. Teacher Qiao felt uncomfortable when he saw this. He took out a few pills and gave them to Qin Feng, but Qin Feng didn't take them. He didn't lack pills, and they were of a much higher grade than Teacher Qiao's pills. Father-in-law, Ling Zhenfeng isn't dead yet. I'll go kill him. Qin Feng took a few deep breaths and forced himself to kill Ling Zhenfeng. These people all knew his identity, so Qin Feng couldn't leave a single one alive. Teacher Qiao pulled Qin Feng to sit on the ground and let him recuperate. The Qiao family members had already gone to Ling Zhenfeng's side. For the past 20 years, the Spirit Beast sect had abused them like slaves. They lost their freedom and were forced to hunt and tame beasts. 20 years of anger exploded at this moment. Over 100 people surrounded Ling Zhenfeng and stomped on him. After they vented their anger, the beasts also rushed over and tore at them. Qin Feng felt that he was already very cruel to his enemies, but when he saw Ling Zhenfeng's fate, he realized how merciful he was. 10 minutes later, Ling Zhenfeng died outside the Spirit Beast sect. His body was torn into pieces by the beasts, and it was horrifying to look at. The Qiao family members had already returned to Qin Feng's side. Their faces revealed joy from the bottom of their hearts. Over 20 years of life as slaves had completely ended at this moment. It was a feeling of being reborn. Qin Feng, thank you for saving the lives of the Qiao family. Teacher Qiao suddenly knelt down on one knee, and the Qiao family members behind him all knelt down to worship Qin Feng. Qin Feng jumped in fright and hurriedly went to support Teacher Qiao. Father-in-law, you're cutting my lifespan short. Everyone, please get up. We're a family, so don't stand on ceremony with me. However, the crowd did not get up. They were clear about public and private affairs. Although Qin Feng was their junior, this time, Qin Feng risked his life to kill his way into the Spirit Beast sect from the outside world and saved everyone's freedom. This matter moved the Qiao family very much, so they had to kneel and pay their respects. Seeing that no one was willing to get up, Qin Feng was a little anxious. His eyes lit up and he hurriedly said, "That's right, I'm now the new Beast King. I'll treat it as everyone worshipping the Beast King." Qin Feng found an excuse for himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to endure these elders kneeling to him. Xiao Shi and the others were shocked, and they stared at him in disbelief. Qin Feng, why you're really the new Beast King? Xiao Shi's voice was trembling. Father-in-law, I found my father, Beast King Gu Chun, in Devil Beast Mountain in China's secular world. He has already passed the title of Beast King to me. Sure, and second Uncle Qiao Gong also know about this. I won't lie to you. Everyone naturally believed Qin Feng's words. However, this news came too suddenly, and the Qiao family was a little shocked. The crowd gradually came to their senses, and the joy on their faces grew. Qin Feng was actually the new Beast King? They had been very optimistic about Qin Feng before. Qiao family, listen up. Worship Qin Feng as the Beast King. After Qiao Shi's order, everyone kowtowed. Qin Feng didn't stop them. He knew that the Qiao family's spirit beast master clan had been around for hundreds of years. Everyone was born with the responsibility of guarding the Beast King. This was their belief, and Qin Feng respected this belief. Qiao family, listen up. In the name of the Beast King, I order you to rise. After everyone finished kowtowing, Qin Feng's voice was like a bell. The Qiao family stood up one after another. Their faces were still filled with joy. This was really double happiness. Not only did they obtain freedom, but they also found a new Beast King. It felt like a dream. However, Qin Feng's expression was still a little grave. Although they had won this battle, he knew that there were still many tough battles waiting for them. Lord Beast King, what's on your mind? Can you tell us so that we can share your burden? Xiao Shi cupped his fists respectfully toward Qin Feng. Qin Feng smiled and said, Father-in-law, don't call me Beast King. Just call me Qin Feng. Now that the main forces of Meteor City and Distant Eye City's 6 major sacred gates have been destroyed, there are still many scattered forces. We have to stabilize these 2 cities as soon as possible. Otherwise, the sacred gates of the other cities will definitely come to snatch them. Qin Feng voiced out his worries, and the Qiao family became solemn. Xiao Shi nodded and said, Son-in-law Qin Feng, you are right. Right now, the most important thing is to stabilize the 2 cities as soon as possible. Otherwise, we will end up like those people. Xiao Shi's grandfather stood up and said, Qin Feng, you've been our leader for a long time. You know the situation better than anyone else. We, the Qiao family, are willing to protect you with our lives. Tell us what to do next. Xiao Shi's grandfather stood up and said, Qin Feng, you've been our leader for a long time. You understand the situation better than anyone else. Yes, Lord Beast King, please give us the order. There were more than 100 people in the Qiao family. Most of them were at the 2nd or 3rd stage of true qi, and the strongest was only at the 4th stage of true qi. They did not focus on cultivation in the first place, but on their outstanding beast-taming skills. Qin Feng looked at the distant ice city under the night sky, and his eyes flickered. He thought for a moment and said, Father-in-law, divide everyone into 3 groups. One group will be responsible for subduing the remaining forces of the 3 sacred gates in Distant Eye City. The second group will subdue Meteor City, and the last group will settle the poor people in the 2 cities. No one objected to Qin Feng's order. In this battle, the Qiao family and the Beast Clan had suffered the least losses. If they gathered their forces, they could easily take down a sacred gate at its peak. Xiao Shi was already busy, and the Qiao family was excited. They had been imprisoned for more than 20 years, and now they could finally come out and fight. Moreover, they could help the new Beast King in battle. The excitement they felt was indescribable. In the next few days, the Qiao family divided their tasks in an orderly manner. The Spirit Beast sect had been subdued that night, and now it was Qin Feng's territory. He had been seriously injured in the battle that night, so he stayed in the sect to recuperate. With the destruction of the Spirit Beast sect, the revenge mission related to Xiao Shi was completed. The system awarded him 100,000 Hedonist points, a purple rank spiritual equipment lottery ticket, a star technology lottery ticket, and a Palace of Heroes lottery ticket. Qin Feng also completed the 1st and 2nd side missions of the City War chain mission. He had successfully stirred up the war, causing both Meteor City and Distant Eye City to suffer heavy losses. He had also protected the poor people and changed their minds. The rewards for these two missions were also very generous. There were a total of 100,000 hedonist points and a true chi pill. Qin Feng looked at his hedonist points in the system. He now had 1,919,000 hedonist points, which was close to the 2 million hedonist points needed to open the Immortal Island. Master, eat the true chi pill. Little Pig's voice sounded. Qin Feng had been cultivating for the past 3 days, but he hadn't recovered his true chi. Now that Little Pig reminded him, he moved his mind, and a milky white pill appeared in his palm. The pill was round and fragrant. It was as big as a goose egg, and there were 6 clear inscriptions around it. It was a 6th grade golden pill. Qin Feng skimmed through the introduction of the true chi pill. Its main effect was to recover true chi, which was just right for his current situation. Qin Feng swallowed the true chi dan without the slightest hesitation. Although this dan was huge, it actually melted in his mouth. Bursts of pill fragrance lingered in his mouth, and a clear chi flowed into his blood vessels, rippling throughout his whole body. Qin Feng felt his body heat up. He tried to circulate his true chi again. His originally unresponsive body gradually found a trace of connection. Although there wasn't much true chi, it circulated in his body under his control. As time passed, more and more true chi gathered. Finally, it all condensed in his dantian. A loud explosion sounded without warning. Qin Feng felt his body lighten. It was as if a heavy burden had been released from his body. Master, congratulations on breaking through to the 6th stage of true chi. Little Pig's excited voice sounded. Qin Feng was startled. He hurriedly felt his body, and his face immediately became pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect that the true chi pill not only recovered his true chi, but also helped him break through to the next stage. Boom! Qin Feng jumped up and struck out with his palm. The abandoned stone wall suddenly exploded into pieces, and the ground split open with a 10-meter-long crack. Many spirit beast sect disciples were scared and fled like rats. The 6th stage of true chi was much stronger than the 5th stage. Qin Feng thought that if he used all kinds of spirit weapons and cultivation methods, even if he fought a 7th stage true chi expert, he wouldn't have to be afraid. Master, Golden Fur Lion King requests to fight. Seeing that Qin Feng had broken through again, Golden Fur Lion King anxiously jumped up and down in the system. He was his master's right-hand man, and he vowed to protect his master's safety with his life. Now that Qin Feng's strength was higher than his, he felt ashamed. Master, the density of spirit chi in the Divine Land is close to the density of Golden Fur Lion King and the others in their era. Master can always leave them outside. This will help their cultivation. Little Pig reminded. Qin Feng was overjoyed. He immediately released Golden Fur Lion King, Shimin Chue Shui, and Ouyang Feng. Previously in the secular world of China, the 3 of them's magnetic field would be disturbed by the Earth's magnetic field, and their realms kept dropping. He didn't expect that in the Divine Land, they wouldn't have to worry about this problem. After the 3 of them came out, they began to cultivate like crazy. After Qin Feng took over the Spirit Beast sect, he discovered that there were too many pills and spirit weapons in the sect. However, the quality of those spirit weapons was too low. The highest was only a purple grade spirit sword, which couldn't enter his eyes at all. Chapter 1380. The spirit energy in the divine great land was abundant, and the spirit energy in the sacred sects was even more abundant. The locations of the sacred sects were very particular. Most of them were hidden underground spirit veins or in the mountains and rivers. Under the efforts of Teacher Qiao and the others, the sects in Meteor City and Distant Eye City were stabilized. Most of the remaining disciples of the 5 major sects were normal disciples. Even if there were a few genius disciples, their strength would not exceed the 5th stage of true chi. Under the suppression of the beast race army, they would surrender at any moment. Qin Feng did not care about the subjugation of the 2 city sections. He had already guessed that Teacher Qiao and the others would not fail. He was more worried that the sacred sects of the other 6 major cities would attack. True experts would appear among those people. After several days of hard training, Qin Feng stabilized his strength at the 6th stage of true qi. The three heroes all broke through one stage. Ouyang Feng and Shimin Shui stepped into the 1st stage of true qi, and Golden Fur Lion King stepped into the 5th stage of true qi. The speed at which the three heroes broke through was too fast. Qin Feng found it hard to accept. According to Little Pig, the three heroes had been around for a long time. They could have broken through a long time ago. It was just that Qin Feng stayed in the secular world of China, and the magnetic field there prevented them from breaking through. Now that they came to the divine Great Land, they naturally broke through. The thing that Qin Feng was most worried about happened. On the 7th day after he subjugated Distant Ice City and Meteor City, the border areas of the two cities were attacked by enemies. He had already arranged for the sect disciples and the Beast Race Army to guard the entrances of the two cities. Fortunately, the first wave of enemies was not strong. The highest realm was only at the 5th stage of true qi. It seemed like they were here to scout for information. There were two entrances to Distant Ice City and Meteor City. Now that the two cities were united, and there were enemies eyeing them covetously, Qin Feng mobilized a large number of troops to seal off the entrance to Meteor City, leaving only the entrance to Distant Ice City open. He personally led the troops and formed the most elite orc army. He also brought the Golden Fur Lion King with him to attack Distant Ice City's only stronghold. On the 3rd day, Qin Feng saw two groups of people coming towards him. There were close to 100 people on both sides, but they were wearing different uniforms. Clearly, the two sects had joined forces to attack Distant Ice City. When Qin Feng fought with the Extinction Sect's disciples on the surface of the sea in Acropolis City, he had a general understanding of the various sects in the Extinction Sect. At this moment, he also recognized the uniforms of these two sections. The team in purple was the Sky Cloud Sword sect's disciple, and the team in black and white was the Life and Death sect's disciple. Two groups of people stopped at the foot of the mountain, led by two old men in their early 50s. It seemed that they were the great elders of the sect. One of them shouted, "I am Elder He of the Heavenly Cloud Sword sect, and beside me is Elder Yin Sheng of the Gate of Life and Death. We are here to attack Distant Ice City with our disciples. If you are smart, surrender now, and we can spare your lives. We can even let you join our sects." The people on a mountaintop were infuriated by He Yi's words. If Qin Feng hadn't given the order, Xiao Shi, Golden Fur Lion King, and Xiao Shi would have already killed them. Qin Feng sized up the two groups of people. Apart from the two elders, He Yi and Yin Sheng, the rest were ordinary disciples. It was not hard to tell that the Sky Cloud Sword sect and the Gate of Life and Death sect were eyeing Distant Ice City's territory, but they did not dare to cause a life and death struggle. They probably sent these people to scout the situation. If they saw that Distant Ice City was still powerful, they would definitely give up on the idea of attacking it. After analyzing the situation, Qin Feng sneered. He Yi and Yin Sheng were only at stage 6 true qi. Now that Qin Feng had recovered his true qi and broken through to stage 6, he no longer cared about opponents of this level. "Are you sure you want to attack Distant Ice City? I'll give you a chance to escape, or all of you will die here." Qin Feng's voice spread from the mountaintop. His words were so domineering that it caused an uproar at the foot of the mountain. The hundreds of enemy disciples had sinister expressions. They wanted nothing more than to rush up the mountain and kill the arrogant Qin Feng. He Yi and Yin Sheng's old faces darkened as well. They looked at the mountaintop angrily. He yelled, "Stinking brat, you're too arrogant. Tell me your name first. At least let me know who I'm going to kill later." Even though He was angry, he did not panic. He planned to ask Qin Feng's identity first before making a decision. The hundreds of disciples pricked up their ears. They wanted to know who this arrogant brat was. However, they heard Qin Feng say, "I'm just a nobody, an ordinary disciple of Distant Ice City's Holy Gate. However, I'm more than enough to deal with ants like you." The more Qin Feng spoke, the more arrogant he became. He Yi and Yin Sheng were indeed enraged. They suddenly gave the signal to attack. The hundreds of disciples behind them leaped onto their horses and leaped up the cliff like hundreds of swallows in the dark night. Soon, a few of them were about to reach the mountaintop. Rumble! There was a loud explosion. In the dark night, dozens of spirit birds suddenly appeared on the mountaintop. They circled around the mountaintop with bright feathers. It was as if dozens of flames were floating in the night sky. For a moment, fireballs fell like rain. The disciples who had just reached the mountaintop were immediately surrounded by flames. Some were burned to death, and even more fell off the cliff and were smashed to pieces. He was infuriated by this scene and flew up the cliff with his sword in hand. Just as he reached the top of the mountain, he swung his sword a few times in the air. Instantly, a blue sword light enveloped the sky and forced the dozen or so spirit birds to retreat far away. Rumble! Yin Sheng's attack also landed. He had already jumped to the mountaintop and slapped with his palms. The mountaintop shook slightly, and dozens of deep pits were blasted on the plains of the mountaintop. It was as if dozens of landmines had exploded underground. The battle officially started. Before Qin Feng could make a move, Xiao Shi and the others had already led the Beastmen army to launch a fierce attack. This group of Beastmen was carefully selected by Qin Feng. The lowest rank was a rank 2 magical beast. Their strength was comparable to experts at the 3rd stage of true qi. Suddenly, flames lit up the sky and loud noises rose and fell. Qin Feng's side had the advantage of the terrain. The group of ordinary disciples couldn't even reach the mountaintop. They were all shot down halfway up the mountain. He and Yin Sheng became more and more furious. At this time, they no longer held back. Every move they made was a killing move. The rank 2 magical beasts of the Beastmen army were beaten back, their bodies riddled with wounds. Stinking brat, you think you can defeat me with a few beasts? I will cut you into 1,000 pieces. He's roar shook the heavens. He thrust his sword towards Qin Feng. He saw that Qin Feng was young and thought that he was the weakest rookie in the enemy army. Without waiting for Qin Feng to make a move, a golden sword aura soared into the sky. The golden fur lion king's roar shook the mountains. The dragon slayer saber had already collided with He Yi's sword in midair. The loud noise was deafening. The golden fur lion king was only at the 5th stage of true qi, but it was able to resist He Yi's sword. However, he still had the upper hand. He quickly swung his sword a second time. The golden fur lion king's sword had only slashed halfway when it was pushed back to the plains of the mountaintop. Haha, this is the general you called for? You can't even withstand a single blow. I want to see what kind of backing you have now. In He Yi's eyes, the golden fur lion king was the strongest person in the enemy army. Now that he had been pushed back, he no longer had any fear in his heart. He leaped and thrust his sword towards Qin Feng. The blue sword aura streaked across like a meteor and instantly landed on the ground. However, Qin Feng was no longer there. The sword aura exploded into a huge pit on the ground. He's expression changed greatly. He felt the aura of death coming from behind him. He immediately turned around and saw that Qin Feng had unknowingly floated behind him with a red spear in his hand. When the spear was thrust out, it was as if it had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Suddenly, thousands of spear auras shot out, and he exploded in mid-air into a pile of flesh and blood. Bang, 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 bang. He's body had already been smashed into pieces, but the loud noises in the sky were continuous. That red spear light was still flashing. It was as gorgeous as fireworks. The disciple who was climbing the mountain was suddenly stunned. He raised his head to look at the strange scene in the sky. He still couldn't figure out what was going on. You killed Daoist he? Yin Sheng was shocked. He stood at the peak of the mountain and saw Qin Feng's powerful spear attack with his own eyes. However, no one answered his question. Qin Feng's answer was not a sound, but a ferocious attack from the Storm Rainbow Demon Spear. Clang! That spear attack was light and casual, but it instantly condensed thousands of spear auras. Yin Sheng did not even have a chance to react before he exploded on the peak of the mountain. The disciples halfway up the mountain did not see how Yin Sheng died. They only heard the loud, noises coming from the top of the mountain. Some of them even shouted innocently. The two elders have used their ultimate moves. Everyone, hurry up! How can those ants be a match for the two elders? Distant Ice City is already an empty city. Our Sky Cloud sword will become even stronger in the future. The group of disciples became excited in their own fantasies and increased their speed of climbing. Soon, a large group of disciples reached the top of the mountain. However, they were stunned on the spot. The scene of the two elders killing the enemy bravely did not appear in their minds. They scanned the top of the mountain, but did not see the two elders. The enemy seemed to be unharmed, and a group of ferocious beasts were staring at them, as if they wanted to swallow them alive. You should surrender now. Once Taoist He and Elder Yin attack, it will be too late even if you want to surrender. Everyone realized that the situation was not right, but they still pretended to be calm. Qin Feng sneered and waved his hand. Immediately, a golden saber aura that was hundreds of meters long condensed in front of him. The golden phoenix landed on the ground and split the entire mountain in half. The disciples, standing at the edge of the cliff, all fell down and were smashed to pieces. Oh no, two elders have been killed. Everyone, run for your lives. There were still a dozen disciples with the weakest strength who had only climbed halfway up the mountain. Their good-for-nothing had actually saved their lives. These people did not dare to climb up anymore. When they saw their senior brothers fall from the peak, they were so scared that they immediately fled. Chapter 1381. There were many sacred sects in the Divine Continent. There were at least 80, if not hundreds. However, there were only 8 cities here, which caused all the sacred sects to fight openly and covertly. Now that Distant Ice City and Meteor City had fought, and it was rumored that both sides suffered heavy losses, it immediately attracted the attention of all the sacred sects. Many sects had sent their disciples to Distant Ice City to scout out the situation. However, after the battle last night, most of the sect leaders ordered their disciples to retreat. That battle was not intense, and it was only led by 2 elders at the 6th stage of true Qi. However, the disciples who escaped talked about it as if it was a miracle. Thousands of magical beasts and spirit beasts gathered, and it was said that the enemy had a divine general who descended from the heavens and killed 2 elders with a single spear strike. He and Yin Sheng's strength was nothing in the Divine Continent, but they were still experts at the 6th stage of true Qi. In the vast Divine Continent, how many people could beat their chest and boast that they could kill someone at the 6th stage of true Qi with a single spear strike? Perhaps only the sect masters of the few sacred sects and a few grand elders would be able to do so. However, the man who killed He and Yin Sheng was only an ordinary disciple of the Distant Ice City sacred sect. How powerful was Distant Ice City now? Son-in-law, after the battle that night, Distant Ice City and Meteor City have established their might. I believe that no other sacred sects will dare to attack us. 3 days had passed since the battle that night. According to the Qiao clan, Distant Ice City and Meteor City had been defended. However, Qin Feng did not give the order to retreat. These 3 days, he led the team to guard the entrance of Distant Ice City. From beginning to end, Qin Feng was somewhat worried. This was the Divine Continent, where sects stood in great numbers and experts were as common as clouds. How could the death of merely 2 elders at the 6th stage of true Qi truly deter those sacred sects that were spying on the city? Father-in-law, I have a bad feeling in my heart. We should guard here for a few more days. If there is still no movement in a week, then we will make a decision. Qin Feng was now the city lord of 2 cities, and he controlled the remaining forces of the 6 sacred sects. He was also the benefactor of Qiao Shi and the others, and the new Beast King. Everyone listened to his orders. Everyone continued to stand guard at the entrance, constantly vigilant against the enemy's surprise attack. Qin Feng was not idle either. He spent every moment cultivating. Even though he had stepped into the 6th stage of true Qi, he was still too weak when compared to the entire Divine Continent. Master, you've completed Qiao Shi's mission not too long ago, and the system has rewarded you with a lot of lottery tickets. You could give it a try. Little Pig's voice rang out. Qin Feng's eyes lit up. Recently, he had been busy with city battles and defending the city. He had completely forgotten about the reward rolls. Qin Feng sent his consciousness into the system. The rewards for the Qiao Shi's revenge quest were very generous. Apart from 100,000 Hedonist points, there was also a purple grade spirit equipment scroll, a star technology scroll, and a Palace of Heroes scroll. Ding! Congratulations, host Qin Feng. You have used the violet grade spiritual equipment lottery scroll to obtain the Violet Sunset Sword. As soon as Qin Feng thought about it, the system's notification sounded. He now had a scarlet demon red equipment for great sage gold equipment and even more pink equipment. As for the purple grade spear equipment, Qin Feng no longer cared about them. However, the violet cloud sword's design was outstanding. It was a slender, sharp sword with a few purple clouds carved on its blade. It was somewhat similar to the waning moon sword that Ren Xiaoyao used. It seemed to be a sword used by women. Qin Feng casually grabbed the air and stabbed it. Instantly, several purple sword rays whizzed out and enveloped Qin Feng's body in a purple mist, making it difficult to tell if he was real or fake. This sword is not bad. I'll see which woman likes it and get it to them. Qin Feng put away the violet cloud sword and prepared to leave it for Lin Bei and the others. Now that the girls had begun to step onto the path of cultivation with Qin Feng's help, Qin Feng planned to give each of them a satisfactory weapon after they left this place of despair. After using the violet cloud sword, Qin Feng couldn't wait to use the star technology battle armor. The reason he was able to survive in China and even seize 2 cities was all because of the power of the star technology battle armor. After the violet cloud sword disappeared, the system's notification sounded in Qin Feng's mind. Ding! Congratulations, host Qin Feng. You have obtained a black dragon chariot with the star technology battle armor. Qin Feng was stunned, and his heart surged with excitement. The Black Dragon was a series of technological products in the Star Technology Battle Armor series. It was like the Lunar God series of spiritual equipment. There were Lunar God armor, Lunar Sorrows, Lunar God belt, Lunar God boots, and so on. Qin Feng already had the Black Dragon tank, and he knew the power of the Black Dragon series of Star Technology Battle Armor series. He believed that this Black Dragon chariot would not disappoint him. Rumble. Qin Feng's mind moved slightly, and a mighty and cool mecha landed beside him. This chariot looked like a Jeep off-road vehicle in modern society, but it was twice as big as a Jeep. The body of the chariot was more than 6 meters long and 3 meters tall. It was simply a giant chariot. Qin Feng was so excited that he almost shouted. He wanted to drive the 2 Black Dragon chariots immediately, but Xiao Shi and the others were still waiting outside. If he made such a huge chariot out of nowhere, it would definitely scare everyone. In the end, he suppressed his excitement and used the 3rd Violet Cloud sword. This was a Palace of Heroes lottery scroll. The system's notification sounded in Qin Feng's mind. Ding! Congratulations, host Qin Feng. You have obtained Hero Duanyu by using the Palace of Heroes lottery scroll. Qin Feng didn't know when he had arrived in the system's Palace of Heroes. There were millions of heroes in the Palace of Heroes, and each hero was a shining star. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion in the vast and silent night sky before him. A dazzling star flew over and landed next to Qin Feng in the blink of an eye. Duanyu greets Master. Qin Feng looked at the man in front of him in shock. He was dressed in a green robe and had long hair. He had delicate features and was even fairer than Shimin Chue Shui. He was also slightly more handsome than Qin Feng. Qin Feng had seen this man in the demigods and semi-devils. He never thought he would meet him in real life one day and become his subordinate, but Qin Feng quickly regained his senses. He had asked Little Pig about the Palace of Heroes before. The heroes in the Palace of Heroes were all technological products. They were replicas of their corresponding characters at their maximum level. Duanyu, please rise, Qin Feng said. Duanyu stood up. His every movement was cultured and refined. No one would have guessed that he was a Stage 6 true Qi stage expert. Qin Feng had used the character conversion card to draw Qiao Feng and had half an hour of Qiao Feng's peak condition. Qiao Feng was also at Stage 6 true Qi stage, and his 18 subduing dragon palms had allowed Qin Feng to slaughter. Duanya wasn't weak either. The six-pulse godly sword's ultimate technique wasn't something an ordinary person could withstand. He had used all 3 rolls, and Qin Feng had 2 more cards up his sleeve. As soon as his consciousness returned to reality, he heard Golden Fur Lion King's angry roar. "This is bad, Master. The enemy is attacking again." Qin Feng's expression turned cold. He stood up and looked down at the foot of the mountain. Xiao Gong and the others' realms were too low. If it weren't for Golden Fur Lion King's warning, they wouldn't have noticed anything unusual at the foot of the mountain. But soon, cries of alarm and shouts came from the crowd. A large group of black figures appeared at the foot of the mountain. A few people even started to climb up the mountain. There were only about 50 people in this group, which was a lot less than the combined forces of Sky Cloud Sword and the Gate of Life and Death 3 days ago. But Qin Feng and Golden Fur Lion King's expressions turned grave. There were many experts in this group, and there were even 5 powerful beings that Qin Feng couldn't see through. "Who are you? How dare you intrude into the sacred land of Distant Ice City at night? If you don't leave now, don't blame us for being impolite." Golden Fur Lion King had already started to roar. His roar shook the mountain and caused countless gravel to fall, hindering the speed of the disciples who were climbing up the mountain. The dozen or so disciples suddenly stopped halfway up the mountain and didn't move. The crowd at the foot of the mountain also stopped. They saw 2 black figures suddenly shoot up the mountain. Before the crowd could react, 2 bald old monks in gray robes were already standing at the edge of the cliff. "You're from Immeasurable Mountain?" Qin Feng recognized the 2 people's clothes at a glance. One of the elders put his palms together and looked at Qin Feng and the beast army behind him with disdain. He said, "I'm Great Master Yuanda of Immeasurable Mountain, and this is Junior Brother Yuan Kong tonight. Abba Yuan Kong of Immeasurable Mountain has personally led the troops here. He's determined to take down Distant Ice City and Meteor City. If you don't want to die, you'd better surrender obediently." As soon as the old monk finished speaking, the beast army was in an uproar. Golden Fur Lion King was even more furious. He looked like he was going to raise his saber at any time. However, Qin Feng didn't give the order. He was staring at Yuanda and Yuan Kong. These 2 were the 2 people whose strength he couldn't see through. Presumably, the remaining 3 experts that he couldn't see through were Abba Yuan Kong of Immeasurable Mountain. Qin Feng felt an unprecedented pressure in his heart. He had guessed correctly. There would be more sacred sects coming to spy on Distant Ice City. However, he didn't expect that Abba Yuan Kong of Immeasurable Mountain would personally lead the troops here. It seemed like he wanted to fight to the death. At the same time, Qin Feng was also confused about one thing. The disciples of Immeasurable Mountain were all monks. They were similar to Shaolin, one of the 5 sects of Huaxia. The disciples of Shaolin and Immeasurable Mountain all had the surname Yuan, but their names were different. He couldn't figure out the relationship between Shaolin and Immeasurable Mountain. If these 2 sects were originally one sect, then they gradually divided into 2 sects over the long course of history. Didn't that mean that Shaolin used to be in China? How'd they go to the outside world in the end? What was the relationship between the secular world of Huaxia and China? Too many questions popped up in Qin Feng's mind. However, he couldn't figure them out in a short time. Moreover, the situation was critical now, so he didn't have time to think about it. Seeing that Qin Feng didn't speak, the 2 old monks became a little impatient. Yuanda shouted coldly, "Boy, don't pretend to be deaf and dumb. Call your leader out. You people don't deserve to talk to me." Yuanda had been polite just now, but now his foxtail was exposed. Chapter 1382. Without waiting for Qin Feng to speak, Golden Fur Lion King was instantly enraged. He held the Dragon Slayer saber horizontally in front of him, stared coldly at Yuanda and roared, "Old bald donkey, how dare you speak to my master like this? Do you believe that I won't chop you in half?" Yuanda was a great master of Wuliang Mountain. His status was only below Abbot Yuan Kong. Furthermore, he was a venerable who had stepped into the 7th level of Qi. When had he ever been threatened like this? His skinny palm was about to strike out when his gaze inadvertently fell on Golden Fur, Lion King's Dragon Slayer saber. He was so shocked that he almost fell from the top of the mountain. This is a great sage gold grade saber. Yuan Song was also about to strike, but he was startled by Senior Yuanda's shout. He immediately looked at the Dragon Slayer saber in Golden Fur Lion King's hand, and his eyeballs almost fell to the ground. Senior Yuanda, that's right. It really is a gold-grade saber. These two were great masters of Wuliang Mountain. They were venerables at the 7th level of Qi. With their sharp eyes, they could tell the truth with one look. Brat, a mere 5th level of Qi, actually has a gold-grade saber. It's a waste for this spirit saber to fall into your hands. It's better to let this poor monk keep it for you. Yuanda's old eyes flickered. He suddenly struck out with his palm. Heaven and earth seemed to have changed. Golden Fur Lion King didn't even have a chance to dodge and was directly sent flying 100 meters away. The Dragon Slayer saber flew into the air. Yuanda quickly leaped to grab it. Just as he was about to grab the saber hilt, he felt a gust of wind coming from the soles of his feet. He had no choice but to slow down and counterattack. As he struck out with his palm, he angrily shouted, "Junior Yuan Song, are you crazy?" Rumble. 2 violent air currents exploded high in the sky. The entire mountaintop was shaking. It turned out that the attack was launched by Yuan Kong. In front of the great sage gold grade saber, who cared about brotherhood? Senior Yuanda, how could I be crazy? Aren't we competing fairly? We found this gold grade saber together. You can't just let me give it to you for no reason, right? Yuanda's palm landed on the plains in the distance. He stared coldly at Yuan Song, but he couldn't refute for a long time. Both of them had their own thoughts when they suddenly heard Yuan Song exclaim, "Where's the golden saber? Oh no, it's been snatched away by that brat." Yuan Song angrily swatted at Qin Feng. Yuan also came back to his senses. He gritted his teeth so hard that they were about to break. These two people were both at the 7th layer of true Qi. With a light tap of their feet, they immediately turned into sharp arrows and arrived above Qin Feng's head in the span of a few breaths. "Stinking brat, you even dare to snatch the treasure that I've taken fancy to? You're simply courting death." Both of them were proficient in palm techniques. As they raised their palms, dozens of deep pits were blasted into the mountain peak. But Qin Feng had already disappeared from the mountaintop. 2 balls of flames appeared in the distant sky. The flames flickered incessantly, like willow, the wisps in the dark night. But when Yuanda and the other man saw them, they were shocked. Good heavens, there's even a great sage gold equipment here. It's a flying-type spirit tool. Senior brother Yuanda will stick to the old rules. It belongs to whoever gets it first. When Qin Feng stepped on the golden whirlwind wheel and flew, ordinary experts in the true Qi realm would not be able to track his trajectory. But unexpectedly, Yuanda and the other man quickly caught up with him. Their speed was actually not much slower than the golden whirlwind wheel. Qin Feng was a little nervous. This time, the forces attacking the city were much stronger than he had expected. He had just stepped into the 6th layer of true Qi, so he was not afraid of Yuanda and Yuan Kong. But there was still Abba Yuan Kong at the foot of the mountain. That old man's realm was definitely much higher than these two. Rumble. Loud noises continuously rang out in the valley. The places that Qin Feng flew past were blown into a mess. He flew all the way and brought Yuanda and the other man to a plain thousands of meters away. He was prepared to kill them here alone. "Stinking brat, you can't run away. I advise you to obediently hand over the golden spirit tool on your body, and I promise to spare your life." Yuanda was a little impatient and tried to bluff Qin Feng with a lie. However, Qin Feng stopped and said, "Are you serious? As long as I hand over the spirit tool, you won't kill me?" Yuanda and Yuan Song were stunned. They were just saying it casually. In the divine land, who would believe such a lie? They didn't expect that the brat in front of them was such an idiot that he would really believe it. Yuanda quickly put away his fierce expression and squeezed out a kind smile. He said, "Don't worry, I just want the golden spirit tool in your hand. As for you and I, there is no enmity between us. Why must I kill you?" Qin Feng pretended to be stupid. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "What you said is very reasonable. Then I will believe you this time. I will give you this golden saber, and you should quickly leave." When Xin Feng's voice fell, Yuan De and Yuan Tsong were still in a daze. They felt like they were dreaming. That was a golden saber, and that brat was really willing to give it to them. But in the next moment, the two flew into the air at the same time. Qin Feng really threw the Dragon Slayer saber over. "Junior brother Yuan Tsong, don't fight with me for this golden saber. I will give you the flying spiritual tool," Yuan De shouted anxiously. However, Yuan Tsong didn't slow down at all. He said, "Senior brother Yuan De, how about I give you the flying spiritual tool, and the saber belongs to me." Both of them were wily old foxes. Neither of them trusted the other. When they saw that their hands were about to grab the Dragon Slayer saber, they suddenly slapped each other's chests. The two palms finally collided in the void. The loud sound seemed to destroy heaven and earth. The whole plain and valley shook a few times. The two people's strength was equal, and they both fell to the ground. Clang! No one could grab the Dragon Slayer saber. In the end, the entire saber was inserted into the ground, leaving a half-meter long handle outside. Qin Feng walked to the side of the saber unhurriedly and casually grabbed it. The golden saber light was dazzling in the night. Yuan De and Yuan Tsong gnashed their teeth in anger. "Brat, how dare you trick us?" Yuan De finally came to his senses. Yuan Tsong also realized that he had been tricked by Qin Feng. The veins on his face bulged. Qin Feng acted as if he didn't see the two's angry expressions. He said calmly, "I was kind enough to give you the saber, but you guys fought each other. You can't blame me for this." Both of them had used all their strength in that palm strike. At this moment, they both suffered internal injuries, but they forced themselves to stand up. A gust of wind suddenly rose. Yuan Song had appeared behind Qin Feng. He slapped his palm down and laughed complacently. "Ha! You want to trick me? In the face of absolute strength, your little tricks." Boom! Before Yuan Song could finish his words, a golden saber light that was hundreds of meters long had already descended. Qin Feng had long been on guard against the two. How could he let Yuan Song's sneak attack succeed? This saber strike was swift and violent. Rather than saying that Yuan Song's sneak attack was a sneak attack, it would be better to say that Qin Feng's saber strike, when he turned around, was more like a sneak attack. The ground had already exploded, and in the middle of the crack was Yuan Song's body. He was stunned and motionless, as if he had fallen asleep. However, after a few breaths, a bloody wound split open between his eyebrows. In the blink of an eye, the bloody wound split open and his whole body exploded into pieces. Boom! The loud explosion had not stopped, and a strong smell of blood wafted in the air. Yuan De was only a second later than Yuan Song's attack, but he didn't expect that this 1 second would save his life. At this moment, he was stunned in place, staring incredulously at Qin Feng, who was carrying the Dragon Slayer saber on his shoulder. From the beginning, Qin Feng was an ant-like existence that Yuan De and Yuan Song ignored. It was precisely because of this that they dared to unscrupulously snatch Qin Feng's gold equipment. But they never expected that such a young boy could actually kill Yuan Song, who was at the 7th stage of true Qi. You dare to kill my junior brother? I will make you die a horrible death." Yuan De had already returned to his senses. Qin Feng sneered and said, "Oh, you should be very happy now. I killed your junior brother. Now no one will fight with you for the spiritual equipment. This golden saber and golden wheel are both yours." Qin Feng's words made Yuan De suddenly stunned. He did think so, but he didn't expect Qin Feng to see through his thoughts. Yuan De's expression became vigilant. He ignored Qin Feng at the beginning, then looked down on him, and now took him very seriously. "Don't think that you are very powerful just because you killed Yuan Kong. That was caused by my junior brother underestimating you. Now I will let you know how powerful I am." Yuan De no longer talked nonsense and had already clapped his hands. Even if he was a little vigilant against Qin Feng, he still didn't put him in his eyes. Qin Feng looked to be in his early 20s. No matter how powerful this boy was, what kind of storm could he set off? Yuanda was confident that he could kill him with one palm. Rumble. Before the palm arrived, a series of loud explosions had already sounded in the air. Hundreds of palm prints appeared on top of Qin Feng's head. Yuanda and Ling Jinfeng, the head of Spirit Beast sect, both practiced palm techniques, but their attacks were somewhat different. Ling Jinfeng's palm strike was a powerful attack, condensing into a huge palm print that made it impossible for others to escape. Yuanda, who was in front of him, dispersed his true qi, forming tiny palm prints that overlapped each other like an inescapable net. The strength of each palm was not very strong. If it hit Qin Feng alone, it would not be enough to tickle him. However, when hundreds of palm prints overlapped, it could instantly collapse a small mountain. The palm print approached, but Qin Feng did not move. Yuanda's old face smiled like a wild chrysanthemum, as if he could already see Qin Feng's miserable state of being smashed to pieces by this palm. "Yuanda, be careful!" An angry roar suddenly sounded, but it came from thousands of meters away. Yuanda and Qin Feng's expressions changed. Yuanda was surprised. Wasn't that Abbot Yuan Kong's voice? Why did he tell him to be careful? However, Qin Feng did not dare to hold back. He waved his hand and pierced the void with his long spear. The Rainbow Demon Storm Spear pierced through the void as if there was no one there. In an instant, it turned into thousands of rainbow lights that shot out like thousands of sharp arrows. Stab, 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 stab. Muffled sounds rang out in the air. The palm print that Yuanda had sent out was easily pierced through like a piece of tofu. However, the spear light did not weaken at all and instantly pierced through Yuanda. Yuanda's body was suspended in the air as if he had been frozen. Blood began to ooze out of his body, and a moment later, his whole body was pierced like a hornet's nest. Yuanda had already fallen to the ground. He could not be more dead. Chapter 1383. After killing Yuanda, Qin Feng didn't stop at all. He carried the Rainbow Demon Storm Spear and ran. He could already feel several powerful auras chasing after him, and one of them was much more powerful than Yuanda and Yuan Kongqin. Fen did not think that he could defeat the abbot and the other masters of Wuliang Mountain. He had used some tricks and luck to kill Yuanda and Yuan Kong. After all, Qin Feng had just stepped into Stage 6 True Qi Realm. He was confident that he was invincible in the Stage 6 True Qi Realm, but it would take a lot of effort to kill a Stage 7 True Qi Realm expert. As for Stage 8 True Qi Realm, Qin Feng could only use the Star Technology battle armor to fight. However, the current Wuliang Mountain strength was different from the Spirit Beast sect's 6 major forces. In the city war 10 days ago, the 2 sacred sects had already suffered heavy losses. Under such circumstances, Qin Feng had used the Black Dragon tank to slaughter everyone. Now that the Wuliang Mountain's disciples were in peak condition, it was easier said than done to exterminate these people. "Brat, let's see where you can run to." Just as Qin Feng was thinking of countermeasures, an angry roar came. The voice was clearly a few hundred meters away, but in the next moment, Qin Feng was hit from behind and flew to an empty space 100 meters away. Puffed. As soon as he landed, Qin Feng vomited a few mouthfuls of blood. The moon god armor on his body flowed with a cold moonlight. If he hadn't activated the moon god armor's super defensive ability in that critical moment, Qin Feng didn't know if he would still be alive now. However, at this moment, Little Pig's urgent voice sounded in his mind. "Master, the moon god's armor has already cracked. It needs to be put into the 10,000 treasure pavilion to recover immediately. Otherwise, it will completely shatter if it receives another attack." Qin Feng was shocked. He wondered how powerful that palm was to almost shatter the moon god armor. He looked up into the sky and saw 3 black figures land beside him. The 3 of them stood in a triangular formation. The white-bearded old man, standing at the front, was obviously the representative of the 3. "Brat, who are you to be able to kill our Wuliang Mountain's master at such a young age?" The white-bearded old man's expression was cold. When he spoke, he clenched his fists as if he was trying his best to control his anger. Fa didn't need to think too much to guess that this person was Immeasurable Mountain's abbot Yuan Kong. Earlier, Fa had not been able to see through this old man's cultivation. Now that he was standing before Fa, the sense of mystery and pressure he gave off became even stronger. Abbot Yuan Kong, why are you still talking nonsense with this brat? Since he dared to kill junior brother Yuan De and Yuan Song, let me personally kill him. One of the gray-robed elders couldn't hold back any longer. He raised his palm and slammed it down, but at this moment, the roars of wild beasts rang out from behind the three of them. Their expressions changed, and they all turned to look. Over 100 ferocious beasts were madly charging towards them, kicking up a cloud of dust wherever they went. Even the ground beneath their feet was trembling violently. They seemed unstoppable. Rumble! Yuan Shan's palm had already landed, smashing an even deeper mark into the deep pit. However, when the three of them turned around to take a look, they discovered that Qin Feng had already escaped. I can't believe we let that brat get away. Yuan Shan glared angrily. The elder, standing on the other side, was also a grandmaster of Wuliang Mountain. His name was Yuan Zhong. He, Yuan Shan, and the dead Yuan De and Yuan Song made up a total of 4 people. They were the 4 great protectors of Wuliang Mountain. Yuan Zhong also had a cold expression on his face. He was displeased that Qin Feng had escaped. However, Abbot Yuan Kong had already regained his calm expression. He looked at the army of over 100 beasts and said indifferently, "There's no need to care about that brat who escaped. Tonight, let us start a massacre. Not a single one will be spared." Amit Ba, Abbot Yuan Kong's voice was still reverberating in the air, but he had already charged into the army of beasts. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong were stunned. When they heard the abbot say Amit Ba while slaughtering beasts, they both felt very awkward. The battle had already begun. Yuan Kong stepped into the ferocious army of beasts, but it was as if he had stepped into an uninhabited land. With a single palm strike, he sent several rank 2 magical beasts flying into the sky. Even rank 3 spiritual beasts were unable to stop him. The indestructible army of beasts had already been scattered, and the Qiao family was completely defenseless. Yuan Kong's cultivation realm shocked the crowd. This was the first time they had seen such a powerful existence. "Oomph, you're just a bunch of beasts, and you dare to behave so atrociously. Today, I'll kill you all and then send you off to the afterlife." The more Yuan Kong killed, the more ferocious he became. His eyes were bloodshot, and he no longer looked like an abbot. When he attacked, he was even more ferocious than a heinous villain. The dozen or so spiritual birds, circling in the sky, suddenly swooped down, spitting out a rain of fire in midair. However, Yuan Kong did not even look at them. He first smashed 3 wild boars in front of him into pieces before leaping into the air, heading towards the center of the flames. Rumble! The flames howled, enveloping Yuan Kong's body. However, there seemed to be an invisible layer of innate qi barrier around his body. The flames couldn't even get close to his body, and his palm had already descended from the sky. Immediately, flesh and blood splattered, and more than 10 spirit birds exploded into pieces. When the Qiao family saw this cruel scene, they all pounced at Yuan Kong as if they had gone mad. However, they were too weak, and they were sent flying by the true qi that exploded from Yuan Kong's body when they were only 50 meters away from him. The army of beasts also went berserk. The group of magical beasts attacked Yuan Kong as if they did not care about their lives. Fireballs and ice filled the sky, and there were even a few bolts of lightning flashing in midair. Such a powerful and ferocious attack shocked even Qin Feng. However, Yuan Kong did not retreat at all. He continued to strike with his palms, and the densely packed palm prints crashed into the bodies of the beasts. Beasts' angry and pained cries rang out everywhere. "Old bald donkey, take this!" A furious roar shook the sky. The golden fur Lion King grabbed the air, and the dragon saber was sent to his hand through the system. As soon as the saber was in his hand, he swung it through the air. Instantly, the air exploded, and a 100-meter-long crack appeared on the ground. However, Yuan Kong had already disappeared. When he reappeared, he had sent the Golden Fur Lion King flying 100 meters away with a palm strike. Bang, bang, bang. The intense battle continued. Qin Feng stood on his golden wheel and flew in the sky. He was observing Yuan Kong's strength, but the more he looked, the more he could not see through this person's strength. The Golden Fur Lion King was an expert at the 5th stage of true Qi. With the help of the dragon saber, he would not be afraid even if he were to face an expert at the 6th stage of true Qi. However, he was defeated by Yuan Kong with a single palm strike. Qin Feng began to measure his own strength. He was afraid that he was not much better than the Lion King. Stinking brat. Let's see if you can still escape this time. However, Qin Feng was distracted for a moment, and his position was locked on by Yuan Shan. A strong wind blew, and a black shadow attacked from within the wind. Its speed was so fast that it left people speechless. By the time Qin Feng reacted, Yuan Shan's palm strike was already close. The palm strike hit Qin Feng's chest, and he was sent flying 100 meters away. The ground sank into a huge pit. Qin Feng had been seriously injured by Yuan Kong's palm strike, and now he was vomiting blood nonstop. Master, Duan Yu is requesting to leave the battle. Duan Yu's anxious and angry voice sounded in Qin Feng's mind. Qin Feng was also confused by Yuan Kong and the others, and he actually forgot about Duan Yu, who he had just drawn. Seeing a black shadow appear in the air, Yuan Shan had already arrived above the huge pit. He slammed his palm down again, and in an instant, hundreds of palm prints condensed in front of him, whistling through the air. Huh. Stinking brat, this is the result of going against Wuliang Mountain. Yuan Shan laughed loudly, but suddenly, the smile on his face froze. His eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. In the deep pit, a man in a green robe appeared out of nowhere. The man was tall and straight, and his skin was fair and clean. He was incomparably handsome. He put his index and middle fingers together and pointed in the air a few times, and several sword rays shot into the sky. The sword aura surged and instantly broke through Yuan Shan's palm prints. The sword rays flashed, and their speed was so fast that it was dazzling. Yuan Shan barely managed to dodge a few sword rays before his body was hit by dozens of sword aura, and he fell to the ground. Senior brother Yuan Shan, are you all right? Yuan Zhong noticed the situation and quickly rushed over. When he helped Yuan Shan, who was covered in sword wounds, he was extremely shocked. Qin Feng was only in his early 20s, so how could he injure senior brother Yuan Shan, who was at the 7th stage of true Qi? But before Yuan Shan could explain, Duan Yu had already jumped out of the huge pit with Qin Feng in his arms. Qin Feng sat cross-legged on the side and began to heal. Although Duan Yu was thin and tall, he stood in front of Qin Feng like a towering mountain. Stinking brat, where did you come from? Tonight, my Wuliang Mountain's abbot Yuan Kong will personally lead the troops to attack Distant Eye City. I advise you to surrender obediently. Yuan Zhong was startled by Duan Yu, who suddenly jumped out. He guessed that senior brother Yuan Shan was most likely injured by Duan Yu, and he was somewhat fearful. How dare you injure my master? Tonight, all of you will die. Duan Yu didn't waste any more words. As soon as he finished speaking, he waved both his hands. This move was very strange, and Yuan Zhong was stunned for a while, not knowing what Duan Yu was doing. Be careful of that guy's sword Qi. He's an expert in the way of the sword. Yuan Shan shouted and pulled Yuan Zhong along as he ran. The ground behind the two of them continuously exploded. Duan Yu stood in place without moving. His hands are like the wind, his fingers were like long swords, and the moment his fingers touched, the sword Qi would fall. Yuan Zhong finally experienced Duan Yu's strength. Although this guy had only stepped into the 6th stage of true Qi, his sword techniques were superb. Even the experts in the way of the sword from the number 1 great sword sect in the Divine Continent were probably not as good as him. Loud noises rang out from all directions, and the 2 experts of the 7th stage of true Qi were beaten to the ground. Yuan Kong swept a glance over and immediately roared in anger. You 2 pieces of trash, you can't even kill that brat. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong were full of grievances, but they didn't dare to vent it out. Yuan Zhong hurriedly shouted, "Abbot Yuan Kong, there's another expert here, and his sword techniques are superb." Yuan Kong was stunned. He thought to himself, Qin Fan isn't the only one over there. Since when did a sword Dao expert appear? He had no choice but to stop slaughtering the Beast Tribe army. He leaped into the air and covered the distance of several thousand meters in the blink of an eye. Chapter 1384. Boom! In an instant, a huge true energy handprint condensed in the air. The handprint was not fast, but it seemed to cover half the sky as it descended unhurriedly toward Duan Yu's head. Under the handprint, a violent gust of wind blew, and an extremely strong aura of death shrouded the ground. Qin Fan and Duan Yu's expressions turned serious. Qin Fan shouted for Duan Yu to dodge. Duan Yu also wanted to dodge, but he felt as if his feet were filled with lead, and his speed was not as fast as the descending true energy handprint. Seeing that the handprint was already above his head and that there was no way to dodge, Duan Yu simply attacked with all his strength. His two fingers continuously pointed at the air, and in an instant thousands of sword auras shot out from his fingertips. This profound swordsmanship made Abbot Yuan Kong's eyes light up. Bang, bang, bang. The sword auras collided with the huge true energy handprint, causing a violent explosion. Every time Duan Yu pointed, the sword auras shot out were the ferocious attacks of a true energy stage 6 expert. Now that the thousands of sword auras continued to fall, they did not penetrate the handprint that Yuan Kong had sent out. Instead, it made the originally solid handprint seem illusory. "Duan Yu, run!" Qin Fan could not help but shout. As soon as he finished speaking, a loud explosion came from the plains. The true energy handprint landed completely, creating a huge crater in a radius of 100 meters. Even though Duan Yu was a true energy stage 6 expert swordsman, he could not withstand Yuan Kong's ferocious palm strike. A mere true Qi stage 6 Taoist dares to make a move in front of this old man, simply overestimating himself. Yuan Kong's expression turned cold. He did not give Duan Yu any chance of survival. He raised his palms again, and in an instant dozens of palm strikes fell. The air was filled with explosions. This time, hundreds of palm winds were sent out. They were extremely fast, and in an instant, they fell into the deep crater, causing it to sink even deeper. The Beast Army had just arrived. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong stood at the side with smug expressions. Even Abbot Yuan Kong had made a move, so the two of them were not worried at all. They were already certain that Duan Yu had died a horrible death in the crater. That kid is not dead, but his aura is gone? Halfway through his attack, Yuan Kong suddenly let out a scream, startling Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong, who immediately surrounded him. "Abbot, that brat was slapped to death by you. Naturally, his aura is gone." Yuan Shan looked confused. Yuan Zhong looked confused as well. He didn't know what was wrong with the abbot. However, Yuan Kong's expression became even more bewildered. He leaped and landed in a huge pit dozens of meters away. In just a breath's time, he jumped out of the deep pit again. No, that brat didn't die. He ran away. When Yuan Kong said that, Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong's faces were filled with terror. They had seen with their own eyes how Duan Yu was smashed into the ground. In addition to Abbot Yuan Kong's subsequent ferocious attacks, even an expert at the 7th layer of true Qi would not be able to withstand it. How could that brat, who was merely at the 6th layer of true Qi, survive? Not to mention escaping. "Abbot, did you see wrongly? That brat must have been blown to smithereens by you," Yuan Zhong said. Yuan Kong glared at Yuan Zhong angrily, but he did not say anything else. He had personally gone to the huge pit to take a look, so how could he be mistaken? His expression changed, and his figure suddenly disappeared. In a breath's time, he appeared next to Qin Fan. "Stinking brat, did you hide that guy?" Yuan Zhong and Yuan Shan looked at the abbot in disbelief. They even wondered if the abbot had gone senile. Qin Fan was heavily injured and could barely protect himself. How could he hide that expert swordsman? Qin Feng's expression became serious. He had indeed recalled Duan Yu into the system. He didn't expect the abbot of Wuliang Mountain to see through him. Facing this expert whose strength he couldn't see through, Qin Feng felt that he didn't even have a chance to attack. It's fine if you don't say it. You're going to die anyway. Yuan Kong suddenly lost his patience. The skinny hand in the robe had already slammed downwards. Instantly, a wild gale was stirred up, and Qin Feng felt an unprecedented pressure bearing down on him. He did not dare to hesitate at all. With a thought, a loud explosion sounded out from beneath him. Rumble. The palm landed, but it hit nothing but air. It sank into a huge pit on the plains. Qin Feng's figure was no longer in the pit. Instead, there was a huge, strange machine. When Yuan Kong saw the strange machine, he was stunned. Clearly, he had never seen it before. Fuck. Abbot W, what is this thing? It looks like advanced technology from the outside world. It looks like a car. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong rushed over. They were immediately shocked by the black dragon chariot in the pit. The three of them were all experts of Wuliang Mountain in China. They usually stayed in their sects and cultivated. Even though they went to the secular world of China several decades ago, they had never seen a car as domineering as the black dragon chariot. How is this a fucking car? It was the size of a tank. Hearing Yuan Zhong's words, Yuan Kong shouted angrily, "Bullshit! How can it be from the outside world? This is China. Only we can go out. People from the outside world can't come in at all." Yuan Zhong suddenly came to his senses. He nodded repeatedly. However, while the three of them were still in shock, the huge, strange machine suddenly moved. "This is bad, Abbot. That thing is moving." Yuan Shan was so scared that he took 2 steps back. Yuan Zhong's voice was also trembling slightly. This thing looks really powerful. W, should we leave this place?" Yuan Kong was actually a little uncertain, but he pretended to be calm and shouted, "You 2 pieces of trash. A mere pile of scrap metal can scare you like this. That guy must be hiding in this pile of scrap metal. Oh no, he's trying to escape." Halfway through his sentence, Yuan Kong's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly struck out with his palm. Hundreds of small handprints suddenly fell down like sharp arrows flying out, but the handprints actually hit nothing but air. The black dragon chariot charged forward with full horsepower, like a rocket shooting into the sky, swift and violent. "Oh my god, what the hell is this thing? It's too fast. Be careful, Abbot. That thing can kill people." Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong hurriedly dodged. Yuan Kong was so scared that he took a few steps back. Just as he steadied his feet, the black dragon chariot flew out of the pit, brushed past his head, and rushed into the sky. Who cares what the hell it is? Get a good beating. I don't believe that it can even kill 2 pieces of trash at the 6th stage of true Qi. Yuan Kong felt like he had been slapped in the face. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong were still a little afraid of the black dragon chariot, but since the abbot had given the order, they could only bite the bullet and follow. Rumble. The moment the chariot landed, the entire plain shook. The beast army that had just rushed over was stunned. The Qiao family stared dumbfoundedly at the giant chariot speeding across the plain. They felt like something was wrong. This was the divine land. Roar, roar. The beast's roars were earth-shattering. They were also shocked by the appearance of the black dragon chariot. Many beasts even started to retreat and stared vigilantly at the strange things running around. Qin Feng was inside the chariot. The space inside was huge. It was even more spacious than an RV. The control panel was similar to the black dragon tank. It didn't take him long to study it thoroughly. "Little pig, is Duan Yu okay?" Qin Feng had just escaped death. He drove the black dragon tank and asked about Duan Yu's condition. "Master, don't worry. Duan Yu only suffered some internal injuries. He'll recover in a few days." Hearing Little Pig's words, Qin Feng calmed down. But the moment he looked up, he was so scared that he almost drove the black dragon chariot into a deep pit. Xiao Gong was leading a beast army to chase after him. Rumble. Fireballs and ice filled the sky and landed around the car. There were even a few bolts of lightning striking down. Qin Feng felt as if he was filming a war film. He was driving the jeep and was about to kill his way into a local army camp. Many fireballs and ice spikes hit the chariot. Every time they landed, the chariot would shake. But the black dragon chariot was made of extremely hard material. It was undamaged by the barrage. "Father-in-law, don't hit me." Qin Feng hurriedly took the car's loudspeaker and shouted. Instantly, the entire plane reverberated with his voice. It was even more powerful than Yuan Kong's true Qi amplification. The Qiao family was stunned. A few people fell from the beast chariot. They looked at the giant chariot running across the plain in disbelief. "Qin Feng did this?" "Son-in-law Qin Feng, are you really in the chariot?" Xiao Gong asked uncertainly. "It's my father-in-law. You guys go and guard the entrance of Distant City. Leave this to me." Qin Feng quickly made arrangements. Now that all the Wuliang Mountain elites were here, and there were only a few disciples fighting at the entrance, the beast army, led by Xiao Gong, couldn't defeat Yuan Kong and the other two. But they could take care of the Wuliang Mountain disciples. Xiao Gong and the others hesitated. They knew they should obey Qin Feng, but they were worried about Qin Feng's safety. Yuan Kong and the other two were extremely powerful. If they left Qin Feng alone here, he would definitely be in danger. "Qin Feng, that's enough, father-in-law. Do as I say and I'll be fine. If we don't go back, Distant City will be conquered." Before Xiao Gong could say anything else, Qin Feng gave the order in an unquestionable tone. The Qiao family clenched their teeth and retreated. The beast army ferociously charged toward the entrance. On this vast plain, only Yuan Kong and the other two, Qin Feng, and the domineering black dragon chariot were left. "Stinking brat, it really was you. I don't care what kind of crappy toy you have, I'll smash it with one palm." Yuan Kong leaped onto the black dragon chariot. He lowered his hand and slapped the roof of the chariot with true energy. This was the fierce attack of a true Qi Stage 7 elite. It was like a mountain smashing down from the sky. The violent vibration made Qin Feng roll a few times in the chariot. However, when he steadied himself, he was shocked. He looked at the roof of the black dragon chariot and realized it wasn't cracked. There was only a small dent. Rumble. A loud noise came from the roof again. Yuan Kong slapped the roof like crazy. He was extremely shocked. He couldn't figure out what this crappy toy was made of. Even he couldn't smash it. "Master, hurry and shake that guy off. Although the black dragon chariot is extremely hard, it can't withstand continuous fierce attacks." Little Pig's anxious voice came. Qin Feng had already sat at the control panel. Seeing the few dents on the roof of his beloved chariot, Qin Feng was furious. Chapter 1385. Whoosh Whoosh. The Black Dragon chariot's controls were the same as a normal car, but there were many more buttons on the control panel. Qin Feng stepped on the gas pedal, and the chariot's speed instantly rose to 5,000 RPM. The wheels spun rapidly, and the chariot roared like a mad beast. Whoosh whoosh. Qin Feng stepped on the gas pedal deeper and deeper, and the chariot's speed soared. At this moment, the needle had already landed on 300 miles per hour. Yuan Kong, who was lying on the roof of the chariot, jumped in shock. His hands tightly gripped the luggage bars on both sides, not daring to let go. The wind howled around him, and tears almost flowed out of his eyes. Fuck, is that thing a chariot or a plane? How can it run so fast? Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong froze on the spot. They watched in shock as the black dragon chariot sped all the way. Suddenly, Yuan Shan yelled, "It's over. Abbot Yuan Kong called us again." Yuan Zhong finally came to his senses and asked dumbly, "What did he call us for?" "He said if we don't act, then we'll just wait to die." The two of them jumped in shock, and only then did they completely come to their senses. Under the night sky, two black shadows appeared. They were extremely fast, and in no time, they caught up to the black dragon chariot. Yuan Shan had already struck out with both of his palms, and hundreds of palm prints landed on the back of the black dragon chariot. Yuan Zhong leaped lightly, landed a few hundred meters in front of the chariot, and struck the front of the chariot several times. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, three true Qi masters attacked from three different directions. Even though the black dragon chariot was incredibly hard, it still swayed left and right under the ferocious true Qi attacks. If Qin Feng hadn't already obtained the intermediate racing skill, the Black Dragon chariot would have flipped. These bastards, how dare they destroy my beloved chariot? Qin Feng gritted his teeth in anger. He suddenly slammed on the brakes and did a large drift. The speeding war chariot suddenly slowed down, and the inertia was so strong that Yuan Kong's body was flung into the air. If he hadn't been tightly holding onto the luggage bar, he would have been flung into the air. The beautiful drift was completed in the blink of an eye. Yuan Shan, who was flying over, didn't have time to react. He even chased after the chariot with all his might, only to find that the chariot was speeding towards him. "Kill you, you old bald donkey!" Qin Feng yelled excitedly. He stepped on the gas pedal to the bottom. That feeling was too exciting. Yuan Shan was so scared that his legs were trembling. For a moment, he forgot to dodge. Seeing that the gigantic chariot was about to run over him, Yuan Kong leaped up, grabbed Yuan Shan, and rolled to the side. "Are you tired of living?" Yuan Kong roared angrily after stabilizing himself. Yuan Shan's face was pale with fright. As a true Qi Stage 7 expert, he was not afraid of facing all kinds of experts in the Divine Continent. But now that he was facing a strange machine, he was momentarily unable to adapt. Yuan Zhong leaped and landed beside the two of them. He glanced at the war chariot that was speeding across the plain and said, "Abbot, that must be the advanced technology of the outside world. When I came out of my closed-door training 40 years ago, I saw this kind of machine. But those cars were very small, and they weren't this fast. It seems like the technology of the outside world has advanced very quickly in the past 40 years. I'm afraid it's even faster than our cultivation." Yuan Zhong's words made the other two's expressions turn serious. 20 years ago, the outside world had a great war with the Jew men. That war ended with the victory of the Huaxia secular world's firearms. In the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed. The Jew men had been painstakingly cultivating. They thought they would have a chance to fight again. Who would have thought that the advanced technology of the outside world had advanced so quickly? The three of them couldn't help but think of the disciples of the various sects who went out to train but were chased back. It seemed like the Huaxia secular world had really risen. This brat really is from the outside world. He can be arrogant in the outside world, but he still dares to be so arrogant in the Divine Continent. I'll teach him a lesson today. Yuan Kong blew his beard and glared at Qin Feng. Although the Black Dragon chariot was powerful, it didn't really pose a threat to Yuan Kong. In fact, he even made a dent in the roof of the chariot with his palms. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong gradually calmed down. If they met Qin Feng in the outside world, they might really have to run. But this was the Divine Continent. Why would they be afraid of an outsider like Qin Feng? Rumble. As soon as Yuan Kong finished speaking, he sprinted forward. He was like a sharp arrow in the dark of the night. In a short while, he caught up to the chariot. Yuan Shan slammed his palms down, and hundreds of palm prints whizzed forward, causing the Black Dragon chariot to sway left and right. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong followed up with their attacks. Under their fierce attacks, the Black Dragon chariot slowed down. Yuan Kong grasped the timing and leaped into the air. Suddenly, golden light burst out from his body, and he looked like an Arhut descending from the heavens. Abbot Yuan Kong used his Arhut golden body. That brat is going to be crippled. This gigantic chariot looks pretty tough, but I guess it won't be able to withstand the power of the abbot's palm this time. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong grinned evilly when they saw the abbot flashing with golden light in the night sky. They even stopped chasing after the Black Dragon chariot and stared at the abbot's move without blinking. Rumble. Yuan Kong had already used his move. He lightly slapped the ground with his palm. His movement was very slow, like the Tai Chi palm that the old man used. However, in the blink of an eye, a strong wind blew, and a deafening explosion sounded. A golden palm print condensed in the night sky, and it fell on the plains like a scorching sun. Qin Feng could feel the power of the palm, even though he was sitting in the Black Dragon chariot. The temperature around him rose rapidly, and smoke rose from the chariot. Qin Feng was drenched in cold sweat. He felt that the Black Dragon chariot would be completely destroyed by the palm. Master, quickly counterattack. Fire the cannon, Little Pig said anxiously. Qin Feng was stunned. He had just obtained the Black Dragon chariot, and this was his first time driving it. He thought it was just a vehicle, but it was equipped with cannons as well. Soon, Qin Feng had mastered the cannon system of the chariot. It was similar to the Black Dragon tank. When the golden palm print was about to hit the ground, Qin Feng activated his will, and a skylight suddenly appeared on the roof of the gigantic chariot, and an anti-aircraft cannon poked out. Rumble. A deafening explosion shook the entire plains. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong were so happy that they couldn't close their mouths. They thought it was the power of the abbot's palm, but in the next moment, the smiles on their faces froze. They saw the gigantic chariot still flying on the plains, and they heard the abbot scream in the sky. The abbot was sent flying. Rumble. The aftershocks of the anti-aircraft cannons had yet to subside, and the entire valley was shaking. Even Xiao Gong and the other disciples of Wuliang Mountain, who were engaged in a bloody battle at the entrance of distant Ai City, were stunned for a moment. They looked at the blood-red sky in shock. Even Qin Feng was dumbfounded. The anti-aircraft cannon fired a red cannonball, and it looked as if it was going to pierce through the sky. Yuan Kong's golden palm print was incredibly powerful, but it was directly destroyed by the anti-aircraft cannon. However, after coming back to his senses, Qin Feng's heart started to bleed. The red cannonball cost 10,000 hedonist points each. It was simply too expensive. Brat, how dare you hurt our sex abbot? Die. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong suddenly attacked, turning into two black shadows that darted back and forth in the night sky. Qin Feng drove the Black Dragon chariot at high speed, but he didn't dare to use the anti-aircraft cannon carelessly. Putting aside the fact that each red cannonball cost 10,000 hedonist points, he wouldn't be able to hit the target even if he fired it at high speed. Bang, bang, bang. The two people's attacks landed. The gigantic chariot was now riddled with holes, and its original appearance was almost unrecognizable. Qin Feng was filled with rage. He pressed the fire button next to the anti-aircraft cannon, and suddenly, the roof of the chariot and the doors on both sides of the back seat opened by themselves. A dozen or so laser guns were ready, and red laser bullets shot out like raindrops. Ta-ta-ta. Suddenly, gunshots rang out everywhere. Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong, who were chasing after the chariot, were dumbfounded when they saw the red laser bullets coming at them like raindrops. What the hell was this? Ouch, what the hell is this? It's so fucking painful when it hits my body. Yuan Shan was already shrieking. Yuan Zhong was in an even worse state. He had just jumped onto the roof of the chariot and was about to stomp through it when he discovered that the roof had opened by itself. Instantly, thousands of laser bullets landed on his body, and he felt as if he had been electrocuted. His body swayed uncontrollably in the wind. The red laser bullets were cheap, costing 1 hedonist point. In a fit of rage, Qin Feng bought 10,000 hedonist points worth of laser bullets and hit Yuan Shan and Yuan Zhong so hard that they couldn't even take care of themselves. You stinking brat, if you have the guts, get out of the chariot and fight. What kind of man are you if you use these things? Yuan Shan cursed. Qin Feng didn't want to waste any more time. The longer he was out of the chariot, the more dangerous it would be. However, he still had to drive the Black Dragon chariot, so he couldn't leave the chariot. However, he heard Little Pig excitedly yell, "Master, Master, hurry and let me out. I'll help you drive." Qin Feng froze, and his mouth gaped. A pig can drive? Are you kidding me? Little Pig grumbled. So what if I'm a pig? I'm an experienced driver. Qin Feng rolled his eyes, and in the end, let Little Pig out. He watched as Little Pig excitedly jumped onto the steering wheel, and its two front hooves spun around. It looked quite comical. This was a spacious plane, so Qin Feng wasn't afraid of Little Pig crashing into the chariot. Looking at the two people behind and on the roof, Qin Feng's expression darkened, and he suddenly disappeared into the chariot. Whoosh! 2 balls of fire floated in the night sky, and the laser guns on top of the chariot suddenly disappeared. Yuan Zhong, who had been shot into the air, finally steadied himself. His gray robe was tattered, and he was covered in blood. He looked extremely pathetic. Stinking brat, I'm going to kill you. Yuan Zhong was completely enraged. He leaped into the air, and when he saw that Qin Feng finally dared to come out, he was extremely excited. The Black Dragon Chariot was indeed powerful, but in Yuan Zhong's eyes, Qin Feng was only a stage 6 true Qi martial artist. Moreover, Qin Feng was injured, so Yuan Zhong didn't take him seriously at all. Boom! Before the figure arrived, Yuan Zhong had already sent out several palm strikes. Instantly, hundreds of palm prints rose into the air, and it looked as if they were going to explode the air. Chapter 1386. Whoosh! Seeing that the palm print was about to land on his body, Qin Feng stabbed the air in front of him. There was nothing in his hand. Yuan Zhong was stunned when he did this. He didn't know what Qin Feng was up to this time, but in the next moment, a blood-red long spear appeared out of thin air. In an instant, it transformed into thousands of spear lights. The rainbow-colored light pierced through Yuan Zhong's palm imprint like it was tofu, and then pierced through his body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Only then did the sound of wind breaking resound continuously. The momentum was shocking. Yuan Zhong's body froze in midair. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't expect Qin Feng's explosive attack to be so powerful. He didn't expect this kid to have hidden the Scarlet Devil Red equipment. He didn't expect to die in his hands. There were many things that Yuan Zhong didn't expect. However, his body had already started to spurt out blood and exploded into a pool of blood. Qin Feng landed on the ground after killing Yuan Zhong. His face was a bit pale. After such a series of fierce attacks, his body couldn't hold on any longer. The Black Dragon Chariot was still speeding on the plain. It was only a dozen kilometers away. Qin Feng was furious because of this dead pig. He didn't even have time to hide in the chariot to recuperate. You killed junior brother Yuan Zhong? Yuan Shan's voice came. He had already landed dozens of meters away from Qin Feng. Seeing the blood and flesh falling from the sky, Yuan Shan's eyes were filled with shock. However, he quickly regained his senses and slapped at Qin Feng without saying anything. Rumble! The palm print turned into a gust of wind and instantly filled the void. Qin Feng didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly stabbed the spear. Thousands of spear lights instantly shot out. However, the momentum was much weaker than the spear that killed Yuan Zhong. The palm print was unexpectedly not pierced through. Qin Feng didn't dare to stay any longer. He stepped on the golden wheel and disappeared into the night sky. Brat, don't run if you have the guts. Yuan Shan was completely furious. He chased after Qin Feng. It seemed like he wanted to fight to the death with him. The golden wheel was extremely fast. However, Yuan Shan's speed wasn't slow either. At this moment, Yuan Shan's body was glowing with golden light. This was the effect of activating the body of the diamond. Brat, let's see where you can run to now. Once the body of the diamond appeared, Yuan Shan seemed to have become a different person. His speed, strength, and other abilities were greatly enhanced. He seemed to have leaped lightly, but he instantly traversed hundreds of meters and arrived behind Qin Feng. Rumble! Without any hesitation, he struck out with his palm. This time, a huge golden palm was formed. Although it was not as ferocious as Yuan Kong's palm, it was still incomparably violent. Qin Feng was hit in the back, and he spat out a mouthful of blood in midair. Because the moon god armor was about to shatter, Qin Feng didn't dare to wear it. This palm landed squarely on his body, and he felt as if his organs were in disarray. Bang! When he fell to the ground, there was another loud crash. Qin Feng's bones were about to fall apart. Yuan Shan didn't give him any chance to catch his breath. He followed him like a shadow and slammed his palm down as soon as he arrived at the edge of the crater. Rumble! A golden palm imprint was also condensed into a berserk strike, which ferociously slammed into Qin Feng's chest. Yuan Shan threw his head back and laughed loudly. After the palm landed, he didn't even bother to look at Qin Feng. He was certain that Qin Feng was dead for sure. However, halfway through his laughter, Yuan Shan suddenly froze. Numerous rays of golden light shot out from the crater, blinding him so much that he couldn't open his eyes. They were even more dazzling than his diamond body. Seeing Qin Feng, who was shining with golden light, stand up from the crater. Yuan Shan looked as if he had seen a ghost. You're not dead yet? Qin Fun's lips curled into a cold smile, but he didn't answer Yuan Shan's question. He didn't die, didn't he? Under that palm, Qin Fun's paragon cultivation technique, the Vajra arts, was passively activated. The first layer of the Vajra art's invincible golden body was activated. Right now, he had the same invincible golden body as Yuan Shan. However, the two of them cultivated different golden body cultivation techniques. In front of the paragon-level Vajra arts, Yuan Shan's diamond body was like a stray dog. Oomph. You really are a cockroach. I don't believe that I can't slap you to death. Yuan Shan quickly regained his senses. Before he could see the changes in Qin Fun's body, he swung his palm again. Instantly, a gust of wind rose from his palm. However, Qin Fun didn't move from his original position and punched the air. Rumble. The punch seemed to have the power to shatter the heavens and the earth. A fierce golden tiger soared into the sky, opened its bloody mouth, and swallowed the incoming palm print. The gust of wind from the punch was mixed with countless sword cries. This special grade Thunder Tiger Flying Sword Fist was created by Qin Fun using the Divine Skill interface. The palm print was penetrated, and numerous sword lights slashed Yuan Shan's body. Yuan Shan's expression changed drastically, and he retreated quickly. He was almost killed by the power of the solitary 9 swords. You also have a golden body? Yuan Shan retreated to an empty space 100 meters away and looked at Qin Fun in disbelief. His expression gradually became serious, as if it was the first time he had seen Qin Fun. This ant that he had originally ignored was now a threat to his life. Qin Fun wasn't in a hurry to attack. He adjusted the chaotic true qi in his body while thinking about another question. Previously, he realized that the Wuliang Mountain in China was very similar to the Shaolin Temple in the secular world of Huaxia. Now that he saw Yuan Kong and Yuan Shan activating the invincible golden body, he was even more certain that the two sects were closely related. When Qin Fun fought against Shaolin Temple's monk Yuan Qing and martial uncle Yuan Jun, both of them also cultivated the golden body technique. However, the Shaolin Temple's golden body technique was a little incomplete. After activating it, it caused great damage to the user's body. On the other hand, the Wuliang Mountain's golden body technique was a lot more complete. At least, Qin Fun didn't see anything unusual after Yuan Kong and Yuan Shan activated the golden body technique. Humph! You dare to play with the golden body in front of the Wuliang Mountain? Watch how I'll torture you to death. While Qin Fun was in a daze, Yuan Shan suddenly launched a sneak attack. His palm didn't condense into a palm print in the void. Instead, his palm glowed with a golden light. Qin Fun quickly regained his senses and threw a punch without thinking. Rumble. The fist and the palm collided like two speeding trains colliding. The ground under their feet instantly cracked, and the crack spread out for hundreds of meters. The golden light on both of them became even more dazzling. However, in comparison, Qin Fun's golden body was like a blazing sun, while Yuan Shan's golden body was like a setting sun. The light was completely suppressed by Qin Fun. The air was filled with the roar of a tiger and the cry of a sword. When they collided, Qin Fun couldn't help but take 3 steps back. He felt his chest churning, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. On the other hand, Yuan Shan was thrown into the sky by Qin Fun's punch. His body was like a kite with a broken string, completely out of control. At that moment, his eyes were filled with terror. He was a master of the Wuliang Mountain and had cultivated the golden body technique of the sect since he was young. He didn't expect that he couldn't even beat Qin Fun's golden body. You don't have to doubt me. My golden body technique is invincible. What a mere Wuliang Mountain's golden body to me. Qin Fun snorted coldly and attacked with both of his palms. Instantly, flames rose into the sky, mixed with the faint sound of wind. Once the fire blade technique was unleashed, it was as if nothing could stop it. Yuan Shan's body was enveloped by the fireball in the sky and then cut by the wind blade. Moments later, he exploded into a mist of blood. Rumble. The destructive flames were still burning in the air, looking as if they were going to burn the sky. Qin Fan had long since landed on the ground. Consecutively killing 2 venerables with true energy level 7 had depleted his body of true energy. Aiya, you little bastard. How dare you kill the 4 great protectors of the Wuliang Mountain? If I don't tear you to pieces today, then my name isn't Yuan Kong. An angry roar came from afar, and a giant golden palm fell from the sky. Under the pressure of the palm, Qin Fan felt extremely pressured. He didn't even have the strength to move. He watched as the palm fell to the ground, and an unprecedented aura of death approached Qin Fan. At that moment, the wind howled behind him. Little Pig had returned in the black dragon chariot. Master, Master, there's no time to explain. Hurry and get in the chariot. Little Pig's anxious voice sounded in Qin Fan's mind. Qin Fan's thoughts moved slightly, and his figure disappeared from the plains. The ground where he was standing suddenly exploded, and the black dragon chariot was sent flying dozens of meters into the sky. The chariot flipped in the wind. In the control room, Qin Fan and Little Pig were also flipping around. They felt dizzy. Yuan Kong completely exploded. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked like an enraged beast. He leaped into the air and fiercely slammed his palms down. Hundreds of small golden palm prints hit the chariot, and loud noises rang out incessantly. Master, the black dragon chariot can't hold on much longer. Little Pig jumped into Qin Fan's arms and anxiously clawed at the chariot. Qin Fan was angered by Yuan Kong. He forcefully grabbed the seat and slammed all the buttons on the control panel. Suddenly, the black dragon chariot's appearance changed greatly. Almost all the frames around the chariot opened up by themselves. Dozens of laser guns were ready, and the anti-aircraft turrets on the top of the chariot also stretched out. There was even a cannon opening at the bottom of the chariot. It was actually the place to fire tracking missiles. Rumble! A loud noise suddenly exploded, and the dozens of laser guns, anti-aircraft turrets, and tracking missiles all fired at the same time. The sky was filled with red light, and it was as if raindrops were falling densely. The anti-aircraft turrets soared into the sky, and the instant they fired, the deafening sound seemed to shake the sky. Yuan Kong suddenly stopped. Seeing the missiles that filled the sky, his expression changed drastically. He hurriedly slammed his palms into the air. There was a huge golden palm print, and hundreds of small palm prints rose into the sky. The 2 powerful attacks collided in the sky. The sound of the explosion was like thunder falling to the ground. The dark night was illuminated as if it was daytime. The air was shattered, and it looked like the end of the world. The crowd at the entrance in the distance stopped their attacks again. They looked at the beautiful sparks in the sky, dumbfounded. Xiao Shi and the others knew Qin Fan's realm. He was only at the 6th stage of true qi, so they didn't know how he could explode with such a powerful attack. The black dragon chariot flew to an altitude of 100 meters and began to fall. Yuan Kong was so scared that he hurriedly retreated to an empty space 100 meters away. The moment it fell, the earth shook and the mountains shook. The loud noise seemed like it was going to blow a hole in the ground. Everyone was shocked. After waiting for a long time, Yuan Kong finally jumped and landed on the edge of the giant pit. Chapter 1387. Standing at the edge of the crater and observing for a while, Yuan Kong suddenly laughed out loud. He had long been afraid of the black dragon chariot, but he did not expect Qin Fan to end up destroying the chariot and killing himself. Huh, brat, let's see how you're going to fight me without this pile of scrap metal. Yuan Kong had already jumped into the crater. He could still sense Qin Fang's aura. Qin Fang was not dead, but his aura was extremely weak. He was not far from death. As soon as he jumped down, Yuan Kong grabbed the black dragon chariot with one hand and tossed it to the empty ground outside. Qin Fang lay on the side, his clothes tattered and covered in blood. He looked like he was on the verge of death. Without the black dragon chariot, Yuan Kong's guard was instantly lifted. Looking at Qin Fang, who could not even stand up, he could not help but burst into laughter again. Brat, you're from the outside world. How did you get into China? Yuan Kong was not in a hurry to kill Qin Feng because he still had many questions to ask. Qin Feng's eyelids drooped, and he found it difficult to breathe. After a while, he said, I'm indeed from the outside world. I came back with the extinction sect's disciples who came out of seclusion. Hearing this, Yuan Kong's expression changed, and he exclaimed, I know. You're the #1 person in China's secular world, Qin Feng. Now that you're wanted by all the sacred sects in China, I'm going to be rich. As long as I capture you, I'll be rewarded handsomely. Yuan Kong was originally angry that 4 of the sacred sects had died, but now he was excited. Qin Feng was an outsider from China. Now that all the sacred sects had taken out their treasures to capture Qin Feng, as long as someone captured Qin Feng, all the treasures the sacred sects had taken out would belong to that person. Just thinking about it made Yuan Kong cry out in excitement. However, halfway through his laughter, his eyes suddenly burst with fear, and a strong sense of danger swept over him. He saw Qin Feng holding a dazzling blue crossbow in his hand. There was no string on the crossbow, but it drew a deep blue bolt of lightning. Crackle! As soon as the lightning crossbow was drawn, the surrounding air immediately exploded. The lightning crossbow had already landed on Yuan Kong's abdomen, sending him flying into the night sky. The blue lightning bolt was as thick as an arm, and it was as if a bolt of lightning had fallen, exploding in the void. This shot caused the entire valley to shake violently. When Xiao Shi and the others looked over, they thought that it was the sound of thunder. Yuan Kong was in the middle of the sea of lightning. At this moment, his body had long since exploded into pieces. At this point, the abbot and the 4 protectors of Wuyang Mountain had all died at Qin Feng's hands. The turbulent night sky gradually calmed down. After Qin Feng killed Yuan Kong, he fainted and fell to the ground. He had used up the last bit of true qi in his body. It was also Yuan Kong's underestimation of his opponent that caused his own death. The battle at the entrance of the distant ice city was still ongoing. Only the 18 arhats of Wuyang Mountain were leading a group of little monks to fight. The 18 arhats were all experts at the 5th level of true qi, while the little monks were basically at the 3rd or 4th level of true qi. This kind of formation was not to be underestimated. The abbot of my immeasurable mountain has already eliminated your main force. I advise you to surrender quickly. Otherwise, when the abbot and the 4 masters return, all of you will die. The 18 arhats stared at Xiao Shi and the others like tigers watching their prey. After a fierce battle, both sides had suffered heavy casualties and were now in a stalemate. The disciples of Bagua Mountain thought that the violent commotion in the distance was caused by Abbot Yuan Kong. Even Xiao Gong and the others thought that it was caused by Bagua Mountain. They all knew that Qin Feng was only at the 6th level of true qi, so it was impossible for him to create such a shocking scene. Big Brother Xiao, we will stand guard here. Quickly bring the others to save Qin Feng and the Beast King. The people of Qiao clan were anxious. They thought that Qin Feng was in danger. Xiao Shi already had this plan, so he immediately led the large group and was about to leave. The figures of the 18 arhats flashed and blocked in front of Xiao Shi and the others. They sneered and said, I think you guys better not go. Your leader has already died. I advise you to surrender quickly. That way, you can still keep your lives. The people of Qiao clan were originally worried about Qin Feng's safety. Hearing the enemy's words, Xiao Shi was instantly enraged. He rode on the 3 ice wolves and charged forward. In midair, the ice wolves spat out several ice thorns and landed on the ground. Whoosh! The moment the ice appeared, the surrounding temperature plummeted. A layer of ice formed on the ground. The 18 arhats were frozen and turned into 18 ice sculptures. The roars of the beasts rang out, and they charged toward the enemy. The little monks of Bagua Mountain were frightened by the ferocious formation and fled. However, just as they were halfway there, they heard a series of loud sounds coming from behind them. The layer of ice on the bodies of the 18 arhats exploded. Golden light blossomed from their bodies, and they became the real 18 golden arhats. Everyone, stop running. Senior brothers have activated the invincible golden body. Let's quickly counterattack. We just need to hold on for a little longer. Abbot Yuan Kong and the four masters will be back soon. This distant Eye City will be our Wuliang Mountains territory. The little monks who had fled halfway ran back excitedly. The 18 Arhats had already attacked. They formed the Bronze Man formation and charged forward as if they had entered an uninhabited land. The invincible golden body of Bawa Mountain was also very powerful. The 18 Arhats seemed to be made of iron. They ignored the flames and ice of the beasts. Even when a few ferocious beasts collided with them, there was no reaction. Bang, bang, bang. The attacks of the 18 Arhats also increased by a lot. The Chao clan were all spirit beast masters. Their personal strength was not strong. So how could they withstand this wave of ferocious attacks? Everyone, don't hit those beasts. Let's eliminate the enemy first. Without their control, those beasts are nothing to be afraid of, one of the 18 Arhats shouted. He had already discovered the key to defeating the enemy. Everyone immediately chased after the Chao clan and launched an attack. This was a group of 18 true Chi Stage 5 experts. Now that they had activated the invincible golden body, their strength had increased by a lot. The Chao clan was forced to retreat without any ability to fight back. We can't retreat anymore. The enemy is about to enter distant Eye City. Master Chao suddenly stopped. He rode on the three-headed ice wave and stood at the entrance with a dignified expression. The Chao clan stood behind him. Although they knew the strength of the 18 golden Arhats, no one took a step back. Qin Feng, the Beast King, ordered us to defend distant Eye City. Even if we die in battle, we can't let him down. Someone shouted. Everyone followed and shouted in unison. The people of Wuliang Mountain had already surrounded them. The 18 Arhats had cold smiles on their faces. They did not put Master Chao and the others in their eyes at all. Suddenly, a palm print attacked. The 18 Arhats struck out at the same time. The air in front of them was instantly pierced through like hundreds of sharp arrows flying through the air. The beasts started to roar and used their bodies to block the ferocious palm print. Master Chao and the others had anxious expressions. They wanted to fight, but they could not even get close to the 18 Arhats. The disciples of Wuliang Mountain all had cold smiles on their faces. It was as if they had already taken down distant Eye City. However, after a moment, the smiles on their faces suddenly froze. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the night sky. There were two balls of flame floating. It was as if they had already arrived above their heads from thousands of meters away in a few breaths' time. The abbot and the four masters have returned. Someone shouted excitedly. However, the 18 Arhats had grave expressions. How was this the abbot and the others? It was obviously the young general of the enemy. Oh no, the enemy's leader has returned. Everyone, be careful, one of the Arhats exclaimed. Everyone's expression changed drastically. They looked at the sky again. The people who came were really not the abbot and the others. This time, the crowd was in an uproar. The enemy's leader had returned? Wasn't he eliminated by the abbot and the others? Just as the disciples of Wuliang Mountain were astonished, a rainbow light suddenly condensed in the sky. Before they could see clearly what it was, thousands of spear lights descended from the sky like sharp arrows. Qin Feng woke up after being unconscious for a moment. He immediately rushed back to the entrance and saw the scene before him. Without thinking, he stabbed with his spear. The power of the spear instantly pierced through the golden bodies of the 18 Arhats. Rumble, rumble. Loud noises shook the sky above the mountain peak. Red spear lights filled the sky and fell continuously. On the ground, Chao Shi and the others were already dumbfounded. The 18 golden bodies Arhats, who were difficult to defeat in their eyes, were easily destroyed by Qin Feng's spear like tofu. With the death of the 18 Arhats, the little monk who rushed overturned and ran in fear. Before Chao Shi and the others could come back to their senses, Qin Feng waved his hand. The rainbow demon storm spear turned into a shining golden phoenix saber. The golden phoenix slashed down, instantly condensing a saber light that was hundreds of meters long. It landed on the ground and instantly blasted a row of deserters into pieces. Under the power of Qin Feng's spear and saber, the mountain peak was already beyond recognition. Many rocks rolled to the bottom of the mountain, and the continuous sounds of explosions couldn't stop for a moment. This time, none of the 8 trigrams mountain forces that came to attack Distant Eye City survived. This battle was a complete victory. However, Xiao Shi and the others still hadn't come back to their senses. Father-in-law, are you guys all right? Qin Feng put away the golden phoenix and strode over to the crowd. Everyone suddenly came to their senses. However, there was still a trace of shock in the depths of their eyes. Xiao Shi grabbed Qin Feng's arm and shouted excitedly, "Son-in-law Qin Feng, you're really too powerful. How is this stage 6 Qi? You're even more powerful than stage 7 Qi. That's right, did you kill the abbot and the others from 8 Trigrams Mountain?" Everyone in the Qiao family looked toward Qin Feng. When they saw him nod, they were all so shocked that their bodies were covered with cuts and bruises. If Qin Feng had killed the 18 Arhats, they could barely accept it. However, he actually killed the abbot and the 4 masters of 8 Trigrams Mountain. They were powerful beings at stage 7 or even stage 8 Qi. Father-in-law, after this battle, I believe that no sacred gate will dare to spy on Distant Eye City and Meteor City anymore. For the next few days, you guys should focus on stabilizing the 2 cities. Disperse the forces and quickly build a powerful force. After this intense battle, Qin Feng's voice was weak. Xiao Shi hurriedly helped him sit down. "Okay, I'll definitely do this well." "That's right. What's the name of the new force?" Xiao Shi knew that Qin Feng wanted to build a force that belonged to him in Distant Eye City and Meteor City. The names of the Spirit Beast sect and the other 6 great sects naturally couldn't be used anymore. Qin Feng thought for a moment and said, "Let's call it Spirit Immortal City." Xiao Shi naturally listened to Qin Feng's arrangements and had no doubts about this name. In this divine land, all rules were decided by one's fists. When a force took over a city, they had the right to change the name of the city. Now that Qin Feng had taken over 2 cities at once, he planned to merge the 2 cities and give them a new name, Spirit Immortal City. His goal was to let Zhao Lingxian know that he, Qin Feng, had come to the extinction gate. Chapter 1388. Just as Qin Feng expected, after Wuliang Mountain was defeated, all the sacred sects in the divine land retreated. Those sneaky disciples could no longer be seen outside Distant Eye City. Qin Feng spread the news of Spirit Immortal City, changing its name the next day. He wanted all the sacred sects in the divine land to remember this city. That way, Zhao Lingxian might know. However, Qin Feng did not continue the name of Hero City. At least, he could not use it now. Now that all the sacred sects in the divine land were after him, many disciples knew about Hero City and Acropolis City. Distant Eye City and Meteor City had finally stabilized. Qin Feng personally went to the Sunset Gazing Mountain at the border between the 2 cities. This mountain lay between the 2 cities and separated the 2 cities. Qin Feng landed on Sunset Gazing Mountain with a saber, smashing a large hole in the mountain. Then he drove the Black Dragon tank and forcefully blasted a path through the mountain. In the next few days, the Qiao family was extremely busy. Some people were in charge of mining the mountain, completely breaking through the barrier between the 2 cities. There were also teams in charge of settling down the poor people of the 2 cities, letting them know that the 2 cities had merged and the war had ended. After some work, Spirit Immortal City was on the right track. The original 6 sacred sects were abolished by Qin Feng, and the scattered disciples mostly joined Spirit Immortal Sect. However, some disciples also escaped Spirit Immortal City. Spirit Immortal Sect chose to base in the original Spirit Beast Sect. The location was excellent, and the Qiao family had stayed here for more than 20 years, so they were very familiar with this area. The originally messy Spirit Beast Sect was now brand new. There were new buildings everywhere, and the scattered disciples of the original 6 sects gathered in the sect. There were many people, far more than the original members of Spirit Beast Sect. At this moment, Qin Fun and the Qiao family were gathered in the main hall. Qin Fun sat at the top, while Qiao Shi and the others sat below in two groups. Sect leader Qin, now that the two cities have merged, the residents are safe, the sacred sects are unified, and Spirit Immortal City is famous. Qiao Shi got up to report the situation of the past few days. Now that Qin Fun had established Spirit Immortal Sect, the Qiao family called him Sect Leader Qin. Qin Feng didn't mind these titles and said to Qiao Shi, "Father-in-law, I came to the Despair Sect for two things. The first is to destroy the Spirit Beast Sect and rescue everyone. The second is to go to the Thousand Shadows Sect and rescue my girlfriend and my mother." This was the first time Qin Feng had mentioned his plan to Teacher Qiao and the others. The crowd started discussing, and Teacher Qiao said, "So, Sect Leader Qin still wants to go to the Thousand Shadows Sect. But we don't know where the Thousand Shadows Sect is, so how is Sect Leader Qin going there?" Qin Feng didn't know how to find the Thousand Shadows Sect. Initially, he planned to sneak into the Thousand Shadows Sect through the Holy Gate selection, but there was still half a year before the Holy Gate selection. Qin Feng couldn't wait any longer. Now that the situation had changed, and Qin Feng had taken down two cities and become the city lord of Immortal Spirit City, he thought that it would be easier to find the Thousand Shadows Sect. "Father-in-law, as the city lord of Immortal Spirit City, it shouldn't be difficult for me to find the Thousand Shadows Sect, right? I know that the Thousand Shadows Sect is in Sky Region City. Is it possible for me to pay a visit to Sky Region City as the city lord?" Qin Feng still didn't know much about the situation in the Divine Continent, so he wanted to ask Teacher Qiao and the others for their opinion. However, when he voiced out his idea, everyone in the Qiao family gasped and looked at Qin Feng in disbelief. "Son-in-law, you can't do that. You just arrived in the Divine Continent, so you don't know much about the situation. If you go to the Thousand Shadows Sect, there will definitely be a war." Teacher Qiao was so anxious that his face turned red. Qin Feng realized that there was a way out of this. He said, "Father-in-law, don't be anxious. Tell me slowly." Teacher Qiao took a deep breath and continued, "There are 8 big cities in the Divine Continent, and they are all controlled by the Sacred Gate. These cities usually don't interact with each other. This is especially so for the disciples of the Sacred Gate. If they recklessly step into the territory of the other cities, they will be treated as invaders and killed. Even the sect leader of the Sacred Gate that they are in won't dare to say anything, because this is the rule that has been passed down in the Divine Continent for thousands of years. Son-in-law, you are now the city lord of Immortal Spirit City. If you recklessly step into the other 6 cities, there will definitely be a war." Qin Feng understood. A Sacred Gate disciple stepping into another city was already a violation of the rules here. If the sect leader of the Sacred Gate suddenly stepped into another city, then there would really be a war. Qin Feng immediately felt depressed. He originally thought that taking over Immortal Spirit City would help him find the Thousand Shadows Sect as soon as possible, but it seemed like it had become a burden instead. "So you're saying that if I want to find out where the Thousand Shadows Sect is, I can only wait for the sect selection in half a year?" Qin Feng asked. Teacher Qiao was not in a hurry to answer. After seriously thinking about it, he said, "There is a way. Son-in-law, you have to go to Fire Beacon City." Fire Beacon City? Qin Feng was surprised. He had heard Hua Xiaojin mention Fire Beacon City before. This was the 9th city of the Divine Continent, and it was a public city. Teacher Qiao nodded and said, "That's right. You can only go to Fire Beacon City to find out where the other sacred gates are. Because Fire Beacon City is a public city, the disciples of the various sacred gates of the Divine Continent are gathered there. If you meet a disciple of the Thousand Shadows Sect there, you might be able to find out where the Thousand Shadows Sect is." Qin Feng's eyes lit up. This was not a bad idea. Teacher Qiao furrowed his brows and continued, "However, there are too many people in Fire Beacon City. It is not easy to cure them. There are all kinds of people there, and fights often occur. It is known as the most dangerous place in the Divine Continent." Qin Feng knew what Teacher Qiao wanted to say and interrupted him, "Father-in-law, don't worry. Since I can kill the abbot of immeasurable mountain, I naturally have the ability to protect myself. I must go to the Thousand Shadows sect, and no one can stop me. Seeing Qin Feng's determined expression, Teacher Qiao and the others did not continue to persuade him. A few people immediately stood up and expressed their desire to go with him to Fire Beacon City, but they were all rejected by Qin Feng. Since Fire Beacon City was filled with danger, Qin Feng had to go alone. Bringing too many people would only be a burden. After finding a new way to find the Thousand Shadows sect, Qin Feng was in a much better mood. However, he was not in a hurry to go to Fire Beacon City. Before that, he had to go to Hua Village. Hua Xiaojun was definitely still anxiously waiting for him. Just as the meeting was about to end, Qin Feng suddenly thought of something. He did not know how long he would have to stay in the Divine Continent. Since he had already ruled Spirit Immortal City, he should at least develop the city a little better while he was in charge. Father-in-law, I will go to Fire Beacon City in a few days. In the future, I will leave Spirit Immortal City to you. You will also be the sect master of the Spirit Immortal sect. As for the development of Spirit Immortal City, we will focus on peace, stability, and the well-being of the common people. Qin Feng had enough of the feudal mindset of the Divine Continent. He did not care how the other cities developed, but at the very least, he had to restore equality to the outside world in Spirit Immortal City. He wanted to create an outside world society in the Divine Continent. Once this idea was brought up, the Qiao clan members in the room were all stunned. Actually, they were also captured from the secular world of Huaxia. However, after living in the Divine Continent for more than 20 years, their mindset had been subtly influenced. Suddenly changing back to the outside world's mindset was something they could not adapt to. But very quickly, Qiao Shi came back to his senses. His face was full of surprise and excitement. In the end, he still liked the secular world of Huaxia. There, everyone was equal, and there was no distinction between the rich and the poor. Son-in-law, do you really want to develop Spirit Immortal City like the outside world? This is great. Qiao Shi shouted excitedly. The others all came back to their senses one after another. They were just as excited as Qiao Shi. Everyone wanted to see equality and peace in the Divine Continent. This matter looks simple, but it is very difficult to implement. The mindset of the citizens of the Divine Continent has been solidified for a long time. I will have to trouble father-in-law and everyone else to guide them. Qin Feng shook his head with a bitter smile. He could not help but think of that silly Hua Xiaojun. Son-in-law, don't worry. No one wants to live a life of injustice. I believe that when you bring people back from the Thousand Shadows sect, the changes in Spirit Immortal City will surprise you. Qiao Shi's face was full of confidence and fighting spirit. The rest of the Qiao family also looked eager. After handing over the task of transforming Spirit Immortal City to the Qiao family, Qin Feng went to Hua Family Village alone. When he stood at the entrance of Hua Family Village again, his heart was filled with emotions. He had been in the Divine Continent for less than a month, but too many life and death situations had happened in this period of time. This Hua Family Village was a place that he was more familiar with. Qin Feng's story in the Divine Continent began here. At this time, the sun was already setting. Many villagers carried hoes and hurried home from the fields. Qin Feng was dressed in silk and rode a fiery red steed. It was hard not to be noticed. Another important person came to the village. Isn't that Hua Xiaojun's son? No. Isn't that County Magistrate Qiao? It really is County Magistrate Qiao. He's still alive? I heard that there were heavy casualties in the war between the two cities. None of the sect leaders and elders of the 6 sacred gates survived. The people of the Yamen also died on the battlefield. How did this brat survive? That city war was incomparably fierce, but only Qin Feng and the Qiao family knew the specifics. These poor people only heard rumors. It was hard to tell the truth from the lies. A young girl in white stood in the group, returning to the village. She carried a large hoe with some difficulty and walked home. However, she suddenly froze on the ground. She didn't even notice that the hoe in her hand fell to the ground. The night wind messed up the girl's beautiful hair. Her large, watery eyes were filled with tears. She felt like she was dreaming. She couldn't hear the discussions around her. The moment she saw Qin Feng, her entire head buzzed. She thought young Master Qiao would never return. Xiaojun, don't you recognize me? Qin Feng immediately saw Hua Xiaojun, who stood out like a crane in a flock of chickens. Chapter 1389. The sound of horse hooves rang out. Seeing the heartbroken Hua Xiaojun cry, Qin Feng rode Flaming Dragon Horse over. His heart ached a little. As Qin Feng approached, Hua Xiaojun's body trembled even more violently. She suddenly had the thought of running away. After parting with Qin Feng this time, she realized that she was extremely dependent on Qin Feng. She was afraid that there would be a second separation after this encounter, but Hua Xiaojun didn't want to be separated from young Master Qiao again. Xiaojun, you really don't recognize me? Seeing Hua Xiaojun retreat step by step, Qin Feng felt depressed. Hua Xiaojun's tears flowed even more. She shook her head furiously and didn't speak. When she was very young, when she was a servant girl of a wealthy family, she had fantasized about what her future husband would look like. How would he take her in on the day of their marriage? At this moment, Qin Feng was handsome and tall. He rode a fiery red steed and slowly walked over. It was exactly the same as Hua Xiaojun's fantasies. Ah, young Master Qiao. Hua Xiaojun suddenly cried out in surprise. Qin Feng pulled her on a flaming dragon horse. The two of them rode forward as usual. Hua Xiaojun felt as if everything had returned, but she didn't dare to move. She was afraid that everything would suddenly disappear. Qin Feng couldn't guess what this woman was thinking. Seeing that she was a little scared, he took the initiative to speak. Is Grandma all right? Yes, Grandma is very well. Hua Xiaojun's voice trembled. Why are you working in the fields? Did you use all the gold I left at home? Qin Feng gently patted the dirt off Hua Xiaojun's feet. And not all of it. Those are young Master Qiao's gold coins. Grandma and I haven't used a single copper coin. There's no vegetables at home. Grandma's legs aren't convenient at her age, so I went to the fields to dig some wild vegetables. Qin Feng rolled his eyes. Before he left, he was afraid that Hua Xiaojun and Wang Xiumei would suffer, so he gave Hua Xiaojun a big bag of gold coins. Who knew that this girl wouldn't dare to use them? Qin Feng was a little angry. He slapped her, but, you silly girl, why don't you dare to use my gold coins? You treat me like an outsider? Hua Xiaojun jumped in fright, and her small face instantly flushed red. However, she was shocked by the second half of Qin Feng's words. She had always treated young Master Qiao as one of her own, but she didn't expect young Master Qiao to treat her as one of his own. Young Master Qiao, please don't be angry. This lowly servant status is lowly. How can I be young Master Qiao's own? Young Master Qiao, this lowly servant is lowly. How can I be young Master Qiao's family? As they chatted, the two of them arrived at Hua Xiaojun's house. The Hua family villager followed them and had no intention of going home to cook. Instead, he looked at Qin Feng stupidly. Xiao it of. Qin Feng carried Hua Xiaojun and got off the horse. Zhou Dafei and his son rushed over angrily. Previously, the two of them had been tortured by Wang Long and Li Hu. Their buttocks had been split open, and they were only able to get out of bed the day before yesterday. Now that they saw Qin Feng again, they wanted to bite him to death. Young Master Qiao, let's go in. Hua Xiaojun was very anxious. She didn't know what Qin Feng had experienced and was afraid that the Zhou father and son would fight with Qin Feng. Don't even think about leaving. That day, you beat your elder badly. What do you think we should do about this? Zhou Dafei blocked the two and acted as if he was afraid that Qin Feng would escape. Qin Feng thought it was funny, but he was too lazy to bother with an ant like Zhou Dafei. Hua Xiaojun, on the other hand, was burning with anxiety. She shouted at Zhou Dafei, you don't cause trouble for young Master Qiao. Have you forgotten that he's the county magistrate? Hua Xiaojun's words caused the villagers to cry out in surprise. Quite a few people had already knelt, and they finally came to their senses. This lowly citizen greets County Magistrate Qiao. I didn't think that County Magistrate Qiao would come to our Hua village again. Your presence brings light to our humble dwelling. County Magistrate Xiao, what's the situation with the city war? Qin Feng's status as the county magistrate caused the entire village to fear him. However, they saw that the Zhou father and son were still standing in place. Zhou Dafei angrily yelled, "You bunch of idiots! Now that Distant Ice City and Meteor City have merged and been annexed by an external power, it's a miracle that this brat is still alive. How is he still a county magistrate? Why are you kneeling to him?" Zhou Dafei's words woke everyone up. Yes, now that the two cities have merged, the 6 holy gates have been unified, and the various government officials have changed. Qin Feng was most likely no longer the county magistrate of West Town. These villagers were at the lowest level of society, and they developed the personality of fence-sitters. Quite a few people had already stood up. This scene made Hua Xiaozhen speechless. Do not speak nonsense. Since young Master Qiao returned safely, it means that he's still County Magistrate Qiao. How could you be so rude to County Magistrate Qiao? Hua Xiaozhen angrily spoke up for Qin Feng. The villagers were instantly in a dilemma. They didn't know whether to kneel or stand. However, they heard Qin Feng say, "Xiaozhen, he's right. I'm not West Town's county magistrate anymore." Hua Xiaozhen was startled, and the pride in her heart suddenly disappeared. She even felt that it was a pity for Qin Feng. She felt that young Master Qiao was a good and talented person. He was the most suitable county magistrate. The villagers were also startled. Zhou Dafei suddenly came to his senses, and his face instantly bloomed with joy. Huh, what did I say? This brat isn't a county magistrate anymore, right? Now do you believe? Before Zhou Dafei could finish, Qin Feng continued, "But I made a great contribution in the city war and was chosen by the Holy Gate sect leader. Now, I'm the great elder of spiritual immortal sect. My position is only below sect leader Qiao." Just as Qin Feng finished speaking, Zhou Dafei's laughter cut off. The entire Hua village quieted down. Only the night wind blew, and the atmosphere was strange. It had been a week since the city war ended, and the name of Spiritual Immortal City had already spread through the two cities. Spiritual Immortal Sect was also famous in the Divine Land. As a member of Distant Ice City, how could the people of Hua Village not have heard of Spiritual Immortal Sect? They were also very clear that the sect leader of Spiritual Immortal Sect was called Qiao Shi. The county magistrate of West Town was already a high and mighty existence in the eyes of these villagers. But in front of the Holy Gate's great elder, he was not even worth mentioning. Now that Qin Feng had become the great elder of Spiritual Immortal Sect, he was basically in existence above tens of thousands of people in Spiritual Immortal City. This was like the prime minister of a country suddenly visiting Hua Village. One could imagine the shock it brought to the villagers. Young Master Qiao, why you really became the great elder of Spiritual Immortal Sect? This lowly servant is so happy for you. Hua Xiaozhen was so excited that she was about to cry. She knew that young Master Qiao was a dragon among men. Seeing young Master Qiao stand out, Hua Xiaozhen was even happier than Qin Feng. However, the people of Hua Village were not in a hurry to express their stance. They even looked at Qin Feng suspiciously. That was the great elder of Spiritual Immortal Sect. The authenticity of this identity was truly suspicious. Huh, brat, continue to brag. Why don't you say that you're the sect leader of Spiritual Immortal Sect? After Zhou Dafei came back to his senses, he laughed even more wildly. Qin Feng curled his lips indifferently. He really was the sect leader of Spiritual Immortal Sect, the founder of the entire Spiritual Immortal City. It was just that he did not want to reveal his identity. He had always been low-key. In the entire Hua Village, only Hua Xiaozhen believed in Qin Feng. However, this was enough for Qin Feng. There were millions of people in the world. How could you make everyone believe in you? As long as the person you love and the person who loves you firmly believed in you, then you would be the biggest winner in life. Xiaozhen, let's go in and see Grandma. Qin Feng could not be bothered with Zhou Dafei. He hugged Hua Xiaozhen and walked into the house. However, Zhou Dafei was not willing to give up. He rushed up to stop Qin Feng. However, he did not even touch Qin Feng's clothes. He directly flew to an empty space dozens of meters away. Bang! The sound of the fall was so loud that it scared the villagers. When Zhou saw that his son had been knocked unconscious, he was furious. However, when he thought of Qin Feng's powerful skills, he could only carry his son back home with his tail between his legs. The crowd dispersed. Qin Feng acted as if nothing had happened. He hugged Hua Xiaojin and entered the house. Wang Xiumei was making a fire to cook. The moment she saw Qin Feng, she was so shocked that the walking stick in her hand fell to the ground. "Qiao, young Master Qiao? Is it really young Master Qiao?" Wang Xiumei's voice trembled. Tears streamed down her weathered face. She and Hua Xiaojin were the same. They had long treated Qin Feng as family. These days, the battle of the city was intense. Wang Xiumei and Hua Xiaojin worried about Qin Feng day and night. The two of them often could not eat or sleep. They often hugged each other and cried bitterly. Now that they saw Qin Feng come back alive, their emotions could not be expressed with words. Qin Feng suddenly found the warmth of home. It was rare to have the feeling of home in this foreign land. He hurriedly went up to support Wang Xiumei. He helped her wipe her tears and said some comforting words. After chatting for a long time, Wang Xiumei and Hua Xiaojin's emotions finally stabilized. The two of them cried again and again. Dinner was sumptuous. There were 3 dishes and 1 soup. Although it was all green vegetables and vegetable soup, the warm atmosphere was even sweeter than the food. The two girls still refused to sit and eat. Qin Feng suddenly sympathized with Qiao Shi. He could imagine the scene of Qiao Shi being driven crazy during the ideological reform in a mortal spirit city. Halfway through the meal, Hua Xiaojin finally could not help but say, "Young Master Qiao, this lowly servant has some questions. How did you come down safely? And how did you become the great elder of a mortal spirit sect?" Hua Xiaojin chose her words carefully. What she meant was how Qin Feng survived, but she used the word safe instead. Qin Feng's goal in coming to Hua Village this time was to bring Hua Xiaojin and Wang Xiumei to a mortal spirit city. There was no need to hide his cultivation from them. "I'm actually a martial artist. My strength is not bad. Not long ago, I helped a mortal spirits sect defeat the enemy in the city battle. Then, the sect leader took a liking to me." Qin Feng spoke half-truths. It was not that he did not trust Hua Xiaojin and Hua Xiaojin, but that there were many things that could not be explained. The two girls were shocked. Hua Xiaojin's eyes lit up. She said, "I know. When we met in the bamboo forest outside of Heyu Village, young Master Qiao was heavily injured. Now that young Master Qiao has recovered, his strength has also recovered." Hua Xiaojin was a smart and understanding woman. She immediately understood many things. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.